In my previous life, I scored 680 on the college entrance exam and applied for the artificial intelligence major, but my father, claiming he had connections at a design institute, secretly changed my application to architectural design. After graduation, I got into that design institute on my own, earning $3,000 a month under a 007 work schedule. After a month of non-stop overtime, I died from overwork. Only on my deathbed did I learn that the AI major had enrolled just one student that year, and my father's illegitimate child had scored 679 and 1. I stared at the college application interface, unable to believe my eyes, and pinched my thigh. And my first choice was still N University's AI program, and it was 6 years ago. At that moment, my dad was standing by my desk, passionately explaining how promising the architecture industry was, how suitable a desk job in design was for a girl, and how a girl studying engineering had no future. I really had been reborn in my previous life when I didn't agreed to change my application. He secretly changed my major. In the end, I was admitted to the architecture design program as he wished, and it was an experimental class with no possibility of changing majors. During my undergraduate years, I actively participated in competitions and accumulated project experience. Then, because my mom tearfully told me the family had no money, I gave up the option of a guaranteed postgraduate spot and went to work instead. In the end, I could only earn $3,000 a month at a design institute while working a 007 schedule. That day, after working overtime continuously for a month, I felt terrible chest pains. I finally couldn't take it anymore and skipped work to rest at home. Around noon, I was woken up by the sound of a conversation in the living room. Minmin is working overtime again, working so hard for just 3,000. What's the point? Our G-gang makes 100,000 a year, and he's taking us on a trip next week. It was Aunt Yang's voice, my dad's secretary. Right after my mom got pregnant, my dad became a small-time contractor. Back then, the real estate industry was booming, so he made some decent money and soon had the secretary by his side. But during those prosperous years, my mom and I barely saw him a few times a year, let alone his secretary. We had no idea Aunt Yang even existed. It's only in recent years, with fewer projects coming in, that he's been home more often and bringing Aunt Yang along. She's called a secretary, but nothing about her behavior fits the title. The moment she arrives at our house, she plops down on the sofa, waits for my mom to finish cooking, sits at the table to eat, and after the meal, doesn't help clean up, just goes back to lounging on the sofa. She also loves bragging about her son, young Jigang. Jigang is so easy on me. He says once he graduates, loads of people will be fighting over him, then I'll finally have it easy. Strangely enough, when I asked her what Jigang was majoring in, she stammered and didn't answer. My dad chimed in, she doesn't understand young people's majors. I tried hinting directly and indirectly to my mom to watch Aunt Yang's relationship with my dad, but she just said, our family depends on your dad. As long as this family exists, others will always be outsiders. Before marriage, my mom was an actress in the provincial theater troupe. After having children, because my dad didn't want her traveling around the country for performances, she quit and became a full-time housewife, with no income of her own. Over time she became very dependent on my dad. Her words made me feel like I was punching cotton, so I never brought it up again. And so Aunt Yang, with my dad's unbridled attitude and my mom's weak acquiescence, would show up at our house from time to time too. Woken by Aunt Yang's voice, I got out of bed to get a glass of water. Just as I reached the door, I heard my dad's voice follow Aunt Yang's. How can a girl compare to a boy? My hand froze on the door handle. Aunt Yang, thank goodness Jigang insisted on only applying to N University's AI program, stubbornly listing just that one choice. That's why we didn't let Minmin apply for a major that only admits one person. Why waste such good resources on a girl? And it's thanks to Jigang being so ambitious, far-sighted and bold, scoring 679 and getting into such a great major. The 200,000 plus yuan we spent on his high school tutoring wasn't wasted at all. Our son, how could he not make us proud? Laughter drifted in from outside the door, leaning against the bedroom door. I felt nothing but a chill in my heart. So the other woman had not only brazenly moved into our home but was also shamelessly flaunting, both openly and covertly, how their illegitimate son had taken over my place, and all along, my own biological father, under the guise of acting in my best interest, had been making suggestions to benefit his illegitimate son. It was he who arbitrarily altered the course of my life. I outperformed his illegitimate child throughout high school without spending a single cent of his money on tutoring, yet all I got was the remark that a girl could never match a boy. My heart tightened, the pain doubling me over. Just before losing consciousness, one thought echoed in my mind, if I get a second chance, I will make you all pay 3. Minmin, have you made up your mind? Across from me, my father finally finished his ulterior-laden speech, as I snapped back from my memories. The look in my eyes sent an involuntary shiver through him, but for the sake of his precious illegitimate son's benefit, he pressed on regardless. The application deadline is this afternoon. You must hurry and change it. Okay, Dad, I've decided. I'll change it right away, I replied, feigning obedience. I'm a little tired now. I'd like to take a half-hour nap first. Okay, don't sleep in, after all. He usually doesn't pay much attention to me, so he didn't dare push me too hard. Before leaving my study, he repeatedly urged me, think it over and change it quickly, remember to set an alarm. Turns out his good intentions were so obviously self-serving. Watching him leave the room, I found it a bit ridiculous. Half an hour later, I deliberately left my password-less laptop in the room, walked out, and said to the anxiously waiting man in the living room, Dad, I've decided. Architecture really is the right choice. I've already changed my application. My friend invited me out, so I'm heading out. He smiled so wide he couldn't close his mouth. Great. Minmin is such a good girl. Have fun. As soon as I left the house, I took out my phone, which showed the live feed from my room. Before leaving, I dug out my other phone and hid it in the bookshelf, registered a new WeChat account, and started a video call to remotely observe what happened in my room. Sure enough, moments later, he appeared in the room. He sneaked over to my computer, glanced at it for a while, then eagerly picked up the phone. Hello, tell Jigang to rest assured, that girl changed her application. Yes, I watched her change it. She switched to architecture at D University. Did Jigang still only apply for artificial intelligence? I don't think we need to persuade him to add more choices. With his scores, he'll definitely get in. Listening to him through the phone screen, I couldn't help but sneer. In my past life, because he was my biological father, I never suspected he had ulterior motives, even after I found out he changed my application. I still thought he did it for my own good. This time, I'll make you experience what it feels like to have every step guided by my ill intentions. Having long aspired to study artificial intelligence, I began teaching myself programming in my spare time during high school. Just now, during the half hour I used as an excuse for a nap, I built a website identical to the college application page, just so he could see with his own eyes that I had changed my preferences, making his illegitimate child, like in the previous life, insist on filling in only one choice. If stubbornness is to be called courage, then let him pay the price for that courage. For I timed my return home to coincide with the closing of the application window, and sure enough, just like in the previous life, Aunt Yang was already at my house. This beneficiary, unable to hide her satisfaction, was starting to show off. Minmin, where did you apply? My first choice is architecture at D University. The other choices include landscape architecture, design, and so on. She couldn't stop smiling. Architecture is good. Design is good too. Your dad has connections here, so you'll have contacts everywhere after graduation. What connections does a small-time contractor have? He hasn't even been able to get any projects in recent years, and my mom has to tutor art students to help make ends meet, she went on. My Jigang also chose his major well. I pretended to be curious. What major? Who? She suddenly stopped herself. A really complicated major. I don't remember the name. I see. Just one major. Yes, my Jigang is so ambitious and determined. He says he's going to do great things, and once he sets his mind on a major, he won't change it. I heard the admissions office really likes students who are that committed to applying to their school, and they even give out special scholarships. Really? I don't understand these things either. That's for sure. Once the recording is done, the teacher will definitely like him a lot, and might even recommend him for graduate school without needing the entrance exam. Oh my, then my Jigang really brings honor to our family. Watching her laugh so hard her eyes all but disappeared over 2 sentences I made up, I quietly went to the kitchen to help my mom cook. Go ahead and laugh. If you don't laugh now, you won't get the chance later. 5. Early the next morning, I arrived near the neighborhood where Aunt Young lives. In my previous life, though she could never quite hide her urge to show off in front of me, she still knew that her son was not someone who could be brought into the open. She never brought him out to be seen, let alone revealed where they lived. But this time, I needed to take the initiative. I had to learn as much as possible about this illegitimate child they cared about most. So yesterday, before heading upstairs to go home, I planted a tracker in her car. Following the tracker to the entrance of the neighborhood, I found a spot where I could have a clear view of everyone coming and going. Today, I put on a long, wavy wig, did my makeup, and wore all new clothes and shoes bought just yesterday. With a soul from 6 years in the future, no one could recognize me. After Aunt Yang and her son came out, they headed to the breakfast shop at the entrance. I sat at the next table with my back to them. Mom, are you sure she changed her college application? No sooner had I sat down then I heard myself become the subject of their conversation. Unsure, your dad even showed me a photo. See, D University architecture. It's all she owes me. We have the same father, so why does she get everything? But things will be different from now on. From now on, everything will be yours. Back then, it was because she won an award in that AI competition that you got interested in artificial intelligence. Now she's going to study architecture and work as a laborer, while our G-gang will become a great scientist. Exactly, what does a woman like her know about AI? Before coming, I hesitated, wondering if this was just a grudge between the older generation and me. Now I'm sure, this illegitimate child is not just the one who benefits, but the mastermind behind it all. 6 after breakfast, the two went their separate ways. I followed Yang Ji-gang and saw him walk into a Starbucks. He sat down by the window facing the street. Through the glass, I saw him pull out a MacBook, then an iPad, an Apple Pencil, and AirPods. What an Apple ecosystem he has. Not only did he spend over $200,000 of my dad's money on tutoring, but he also has every imaginable piece of electronic gear. Back when I was about to enter the AI competition, I wanted to upgrade to a higher spec computer, but my dad refused. I had to save up by working part-time coding online and tutoring on the side, yet this illegitimate son, who claims to have nothing, gets the full premium set. Outright, after arranging his entire Apple ecosystem and coffee neatly on the desk, he opened PY Charm, raised his phone to take another photo, then spent half an hour scrolling through his phone before finally starting to code, one letter at a time. I went in and deliberately walked toward him. I saw he was writing code to output the Fibonacci sequence, but it wouldn't even run. He can't even run such basic code. Looks like he only started teaching himself programming after the college entrance exams ended. A plan quickly formed in my mind. Just as he was frowning over why his code wouldn't run, I walked up to him. There's an indentation problem here. Yang Ji-gang looked up, and seeing that a woman was giving him pointers, his eyes were filled with disdain and impatience. I'm an AI major, and I just studied C language this semester too. Are you self-studying after the college entrance exam? That's impressive. I found it a real headache, hearing my major, the impatience in his eyes faded slightly. He made the change I suggested, and sure enough, the code ran successfully. You're really talented. I continued buttering him up against my conscience. Have you submitted your college application? Consider applying to our school for AI. He spoke with a proud tone. I've already filled in N University's AI program. I'll definitely get in. Really? I go to N University, then you'll soon be my junior. 7. His attitude changed completely. His eyes lit up as he looked at me. Senior, what a coincidence, running into my future junior on the street. I told you I have a special connection with N University. Yeah, then I'll see you at N University in September. You're welcome to join our group for projects then. I have high hopes for you. After saying that, I found a spot a little distance away from him but still able to see his computer screen. Throughout the afternoon, he only managed to write 2 lines of code following a beginner's tutorial. But he took no fewer than 10 photos. In between, he kept glancing at me, then turning back and deliberately hammering the keyboard with exaggerated proficiency. Finally, just before leaving, I walked over to him again. I mentioned you to our project team advisor, and he said he'd be very happy to have you join us. He asked me to get your contact info. What's your name? I added his WeChat using a newly registered account and sure enough, saw his latest post. There's no end to learning. Thank you to the senior from N University for your guidance. Looking forward to learning more at N University. The post was accompanied by a 9-grid photo taken this afternoon. I commented below, keep going. Yes, I wanted to shape their most beautiful vision of N University. Graduate school recommendation, scholarships, project team, senior female students help, teacher's favor. If my fantasies aren't beautiful to begin with, what satisfaction would there be when they shattered? 8. When I got home, Mom was cooking in the kitchen, singing a piece from a musical. Mom used to be a musical actress at the provincial theater, but became a full-time mom after giving birth to me. Though she hasn't performed on stage for many years, her professional skills haven't declined at all. Lately, because my father has no projects, she also tutors students preparing for arts college entrance exams. In my previous life, because Mom never had a career of her own, even though she vaguely knew my father was cheating, she kept swallowing her pride. This time, I will not only take back everything that is mine, but also reclaim Mom's career. Coming back from 6 years in the future, I know all too well just how rapidly self-media has grown over these years. The contrast between Mom as a homemaker and a musical actress is exactly what makes her so captivating. I walked into the kitchen and said, Mom, let me record a video of you singing. Mom looked a bit shy and said, oh, what are you recording me for? It's really popular these days to post singing videos online. Let me record one for you. I'm at this age, what business do I have with all that young folk stuff? You'll have a huge audience. Come on, just sing the Phantom of the Opera. Maybe because she couldn't talk me out of it, or maybe because she heard there would be a huge audience. Mom agreed in the end. As she waved the spatula, Mom began to sing. The song ended with several high notes. I put down my phone, which had been recording the video, and felt my eyes grow a little misty. That was beautiful, Mom's eyes also glistened slightly. She turned her head away and said, "I haven't been on stage for so many years. How could that be any good?" That evening, I posted the video on a video platform. Sure enough, it gained over 100,000 views in less than a day. The comments were full of praise, and a few people even recognized my mom, greatly encouraged. Mom not only joined me in filming a few more videos but also took the initiative to choose several of her best arias to perform in less than a week. She gained 100,000 followers. During that time, several sponsorship offers came in, but I wasn't in a hurry to monetize. I knew well how lucrative yet fiercely competitive self-media would become in a few years. To make Mom's account both high quality and sustainable, we couldn't commercialize too early, but even without sponsorships, the platform's contract offer arrived right on schedule. When the platform's bonus hit Mom's account, there was an unprecedented light in her eyes that day. When Aunt Yang came over for dinner and started picking at the food as usual, Mom, for the first time, refused to back down. "This is my home. If you don't like the food, you can go cook at your own place." Even when my dad tried to smooth things over, Mom didn't yield. I knew it. The time has come. That night, I first played for my mother the recording of my father, colluding with his illegitimate child, deliberately trying to persuade me to change my college application choices. Then I showed her the solid evidence of my father's infidelity that I had gathered over the previous few days. A homemaker may be trapped in a marriage for more than a decade, or she may decide to leave it in just a dozen seconds. As my mother took the evidence, her eyes no longer held the usual forbearance and resignation. "Mom, because this is about you, everything depends on your choice. You can take the evidence and file for divorce right now, or you can leave it to me. I'll make sure they all lose their reputation." Minmin, I really don't want you to get caught up in these adult matters. What happens to you is my business too, and ever since they tried to manipulate my college application for the sake of that illegitimate child, I was already involved. Besides, I'm already grown up. Okay, Mom, I trust you. 9. The day before the college admission results came out, I sent Yang Jigang a message using a fake identity. "Hey, Junior, there's an AI-related roundtable tomorrow. Several of your upperclassmen will be there too. I have something going on, so I can't make it. Let me know if you're interested in going." Then I sent over an electronic invitation. This meetup was organized by a teammate from the AI competition I participated in. He's also a student at University N. We met on a programming forum, discussed a few questions, and got to know each other over time. He only found out I was still a high school student after inviting me to join the competition, only after repeatedly assuring him that I wouldn't fall behind in my studies did he assign me a few parameter tuning tasks. I always felt I hadn't contributed much to the team, so I rarely brought up the award I won back then, but when I signed up, I had to submit my high school's name, and the award notice was sent to the school. Neither the school nor the city wanted to miss the chance for recognition, so they publicly praised it for quite a while. I had almost forgotten about the competition, but I didn't expect Yang Jigang and his mother to hold a grudge all this time. Since they've been holding a grudge, I might as well give them something to remember more deeply. When I arrived the next day, several people were already seated around the round table. Yang Jigang had also arrived, sitting in the seat directly facing the door, chatting with those on his left and right, looking quite pleased with himself. I felt a bit embarrassed. Even though the round table doesn't emphasize rank, there's no way that main seat should go to a kid who knows nothing about AI. So embarrassing. Thank goodness we're not from the same mother. Minmin, you're here. Brother Lin, who had invited me, spotted me and took me around to introduce me to everyone. This is Su Min, my former teammate from the competition. Although he just finished the college entrance exam this year, his professional knowledge is no less than mine. Feel free to chat with him later. Hey, there's another one who just graduated from high school. The person next to Yang Jigang spoke up. Then you two should definitely get to know each other. Brother Lin and the other's words pushed me right in front of Yang Jigang. This was our first formal meeting. Though he didn't know that I already knew who he was, we pretended not to know each other, but I was much better at faking it than he was. After Brother Lin introduced me, Yang Jigang's gaze seemed like it was about to spit fire. I briefly greeted him and then sat down a few seats away. 10. No sooner had I sat down than someone next to me asked, "Minmin, which university are you attending? Studying artificial intelligence too?" I glanced toward Yang Jigang. His previously stern expression had now relaxed, and there was a barely suppressed hint of smugness at the corner of his mouth. I sidestepped the question and replied, "I should be able to get into a major and school I like." Jigang said he would study artificial intelligence at N University, and he's already previewing machine learning content. Truly, each generation surpasses the last. He's already so impressive right after the college entrance exam. Like hell I believe him. Just a few days ago he had issues with basic code indentation, and now he's studying machine learning. I pretended to be pleasantly surprised. Wow, I've been looking into machine learning lately too. We can discuss it later. Exactly. You two prospective college students should talk more. You'll both be the pride of our city in the future. I smiled and said, there's still a long way to go before becoming that pride. After chatting for a while, the roundtable session officially began. A few industry professionals shared some non-confidential projects, 2 current graduate students presented a literature review, and then everyone started discussing challenges encountered during their research. After all, there were many participants, ranging from overseas masters and doctoral students to undergraduates and amateur enthusiasts, so the discussion was accessible yet insightful. I took the opportunity to offer some suggestions on parameter improvements, and we had a lively back and forth. Sitting alone at the head of the table, Yang Jigang, who claimed to have already learned machine learning, couldn't get a single word in edgewise. As time went on, his face grew redder and redder. As the session was about to end, he still hadn't spoken a word. Someone considerate in the group proactively threw him a very simple coding question to let him join the discussion, but he stammered out a couple of sentences, and everyone immediately knew he hadn't even understood the question. In my previous life, our city later became a model city for entrepreneurship in the AI industry, where many big names grew from startups to public companies. I had attended this roundtable in my previous life too, although I later paid less attention due to a different academic focus and a heavy course load. I knew that more than half of the people there would become mainstays in the industry. From our brief encounter at the coffee shop last time, I knew he was arrogant, unaware of his own limits, and fond of showing off. Sure enough, he started bragging loudly as soon as he arrived this time. In truth, even if a recent high school graduate showed up knowing nothing at all, none of these accomplished experts would be displeased, but he started by blowing the sky wide open, only to reveal that he didn't even understand the basics. This was a major taboo. Those who had looked upon him with favor at the start of the meeting now had more subtle expressions in their eyes. 11. During the coffee break after the meeting, Brother Lin and a few returnees found the solutions I proposed at the meeting quite insightful, so they gathered around to discuss a few more questions. Just as we were deep in discussion, Brother Lin suddenly glanced at his phone. Isn't the college admission result coming out today, Min? You must have filled in our N university, right? My advisor told me long ago he wanted to scoop you up into our group. Oh, right, I almost forgot the admission results come out today. Go on, check it. As the most important exam in life that most people recognize, the Chinese have an innate concern for everything related to the Gaokao. As soon as Brother Lin finished speaking, everyone turned to look over. Amid the expectant looks from the crowd, Yang Jigang's schadenfreude stood out. I calmly took out my phone and opened the admission results website. Let me check. Under the watchful eyes of everyone around, the loading spinner spun for 4 or 5 rounds before the results appeared. You got in. Brother Lin, being closest to me, shouted excitedly as soon as he saw the result. Someone nearby joked, well, Min, forget about playing this summer. Time to join the cast. What are you saying? I'm still going to enjoy my summer break. Our team has great WLB. Linga took a photo of my admission page and said, I'm giving the good news to our advisor. He's been talking about you for ages. Jigang, you should check too. I remember you said you were also going to N University. Looks like we'll soon be alumni. Lin Ji's fingers paused mid-typing. I recall our department only admitted 1 student from our province this year. The crowd fell silent for a second, then someone quickly tried to smooth things over. No worries. It's not like you have to study AI at N University. Other schools are fine too. Jigang, which other schools did you apply to? Yang Jigang's earlier gloating expression froze on his face, then slowly turned into disbelief under everyone's gaze. Unable to speak, he opened the website with trembling hands. No admission information found. Someone whispered in confusion, how could it not be found? I reassured, it's okay. Maybe the admission results for other choices haven't come out yet, even though you don't have any other choices. The cost of living in our city isn't high, yet he could spend 200,000 on tutoring, backed by my father's generosity. Of course he could willfully fill in only 1 choice and still call it courage. Does he think that if it doesn't work out, he can just do another year, spend even more money on tutoring, and surely get into N University as a fallback? It's okay, there will soon be no fallback at all. But suddenly, as if possessed, he snatched my phone and said, how is that possible? How could you possibly get into N University's AI program? Everyone was startled by him. Someone stepped forward to comfort him. Don't be sad, Jigang. It's the same no matter where you study. What matters is learning your profession well. He slammed my phone down on the table and stormed out in a fit of pique. This kid really has a strange temper. Are you okay, Min? I waved my hand understandingly. I'm fine. He's probably just upset that he didn't get into his preferred school or major. Still not acceptable. His temper is just too much. A few of the older folks couldn't help but offer a comment. 12. Seeing Yang Jigang ran away in a huff. I knew it wouldn't be long before my dad found out about the admission results. Sure enough, after the meeting ended, he couldn't help but call me before I even got home. I glanced at the caller ID, muted the ringtone, and pretended not to notice. He then sent me a WeChat message. Minmin, have the admission results come out? No matter how anxious he was, he still had to ask bit by bit. As if he didn't know, I continued pretending not to see it. Some scenes still had to be played out in front of him in person. When I got home, the moment I stepped inside, I saw my parents in the living room, and even Aunt Yang had come. Su-min, before he could continue, I cut him off, my voice tinged with tears. Dad, the application system seems to be malfunctioning. I clearly changed it to architecture, but it still admitted me to artificial intelligence, interrupted mid-reproach. My father was stunned. Ah, how could that be? I continued playing innocent. The system was really laggy in the last few hours before the deadline. Maybe my change didn't get saved. How could that be? My father murmured. Yeah, how could that be? You secretly saw the page after I successfully made the change, but you also know that peeking with ill intentions is shameful, so you can only swallow your words. It's all your fault. Why didn't you change it earlier? Aunt Yang, sitting on the sofa, suddenly erupted and slapped me across the face. This slap was indeed unexpected. I was stunned for 2 seconds, but my mother reacted first, stepping forward to slap back. What do you think you're doing? Who do you think you are? What does my daughter's college application have to do with you? And Yang glared at me with resentment. It's all your fault, my Zigang. Enough, my father interrupted, cutting off her unfinished sentence. Then he turned his gaze to my mother. We can't just let the system issue slide. Didn't you recently start a social media account with over 100,000 followers? Use that account to speak up. We have to get the Education Bureau to change it back. No need, Dad. Even though it's not architecture, artificial intelligence is also a major I like. What do you know? My father roared. He turned and reached out to demand my mother's phone, his tone leaving no room for argument. Hurry, give me the phone. You don't know what to say. I'll handle it. Seeing that my mother still refused to hand over the account details, he shoved her onto the sofa and snatched the phone from her arms. You women just don't get it. The only way to get anyone to pay attention is to make a big scene. That night, my father used my mother's account to post a long article. It began with, "Hello everyone, I'm the father of this year's college entrance exam candidate," and ended with, "We demand an explanation from the Education Bureau," condemning the delays in the application system. News about the college entrance exam always draws the most attention. Within an hour, the topic application system error had gone viral. 13. To prevent disputes over the social media account in the event of a divorce, the account had been registered under my personal information. My phone was flooded with calls from reporters seeking interviews all night long. I picked a media outlet with high visibility that uses live-streamed interviews and agreed to be interviewed. At the same time, I used a virtual IP address to send a tip-off email to this media outlet. A high-scoring candidate in a certain city failed to be admitted, despite also applying to N University's AI program. Contact XXX. After waiting a while, I messaged Yang Jigang using a fake identity. Junior, I saw the trending topic. Someone else was admitted to our school due to a system error. Did you not make it? He replied almost instantly. Yes, Senior. Do you have any ideas? Crying face emoji. I left him on red for a while, and he sent another screenshot. Senior, should I go to this interview? I clicked to open it, and sure enough, it was the media outlet I had just exposed. Go for it. You never get a chance if you don't fight for one. He hesitantly sent a message, but my situation is a bit special. The words "someone is typing" kept appearing and disappearing in the chat box. I continued to fan the flames. What special situation is more important than your own aspiration? Don't you want to get into our school for the AI major? Only T University is better than our school. Finally, the "someone is typing" message vanished. 2 minutes later, he sent a message. Okay, that evening, the media outlet sent me the address and schedule for the next day's interview, and also asked if I would be willing to be interviewed together with another victim from a different volunteer system. I gladly agreed. 14. The next day, accompanied by my mother, I arrived at the media's studio as scheduled. My father, Aunt Yang, and Yang Jigang were all there as well. Because of this volunteer controversy, they no longer had the energy to put on an act in front of me and my mother to hide their relationship. They didn't even notice that I showed no surprise at seeing them together. The host of this live interview briefly introduced the two of us victims to the audience, and then asked me to recount the incident in detail. Taking the microphone, I first bowed to the camera. First, I must apologize to everyone watching the live stream. The truth is not as my father stated in the long post he published online. The first step was to distance myself from my father, emphasizing that the long post was published by him, but I truly have no other choice. This really is my last resort. The second step was to lower my stance, show vulnerability, and evoke sympathy from everyone. Then I finally revealed the real truth. My father intentionally misled me into changing my college application to clear the way for his illegitimate child. To protect myself, I lied that I had already made the changes, which led to this whole fiasco. As soon as I said that, the live stream exploded, viewers' comments flew across the screen at lightning speed, and the stream shot to #1 in real-time rankings. Wow, that explosive. I knew there couldn't be anything wrong with the application system. What if this whole thing is just their family deliberately creating a hyping it up? That sounds way too far-fetched. Got any evidence? I took out my phone. This is proof that they deliberately induced me to change my preferences and even planned to secretly tamper with them. I pressed play, and my father's voice came through. Minmin, change your preferences to architecture. A girl like you has no future in artificial intelligence. Minmin, I have connections at the Design Institute. Choose architecture, and after graduation, Dad can just find someone to get you in. Hey, tell Jigang not to worry. That girl already changed her college application. That's right, I watched her change it. She changed it to D University's architecture program. This girl is obedient enough, so I don't have to change it myself anymore. There is also a video recording, which is the surveillance footage from my living room. Yes, exactly for this day. I had my mom install a camera in the living room long ago. It's the slap Aunt Young gave me. This is all your fault. Why didn't you change it earlier? And then there was the scene where my dad snatched the phone from my mom's hand and I tried to stop him. No need. Dad, even though it's not architecture, artificial intelligence is still a major I like. The live stream comments multiplied. What a ruthless father. How could a father be like this? Cheating is bad enough, but treating his own daughter this way, what do you mean cheating is bad enough? So this girl is posting false information online and wasting public resources. Are you blind and deaf? Didn't you see that the long post was sent by her dad after grabbing her mom's phone? And the girl tried to stop it. Finally, I also played a piece of surveillance footage, which was from the roundtable meeting yesterday. In the video, Yang Jigang frantically snatched my phone and said, "How is this possible? How could you have recorded N's big artificial intelligence?" When that last piece of surveillance footage came out, the already heated live stream became even more furious. Holy cow. I just thought the name Jigang sounded familiar. Isn't he the other interviewee? Looks like he knew everything. How dare he come for an interview pretending to be a victim? Such a cheating husband, mistress, and illegitimate child should go to hell. 15. After the live stream ended, public outrage surged online, with accusations against my father, his illegitimate child, and his mistress raining down like cannon fire. My mother submitted the evidence of infidelity she had gathered and filed for divorce, but since my father refused to leave the marriage with nothing, the case had to go to court. That live interview helped my mother gain over 100,000 new followers, and netizens were deeply sympathetic to our plight as a mother and daughter. But my mother did not continue to play the victim afterward. Instead, she kept posting cover song videos off and on. She received several audition invitations for musicals and, as she had hoped, returned to the stage. The city where University N is located is the center of the country's musical theater scene, and with the earnings from social media being quite substantial, my mother moved there as well. As for Yang Jigang, he cried and begged until he was admitted to University N, insisting on foregoing the supplementary admission and choosing to repeat his final year of high school instead. But because their affair had become public knowledge, none of the city's key high school repeat programs were willing to take him, so he had to enroll in an expensive private school. Because of that live stream and his claim that I have connections in the Design Institute, everyone was terrified of being associated with him and getting caught up in the fallout. His already sparse business partners became even less willing to collaborate, and he ended up with no projects at all. After paying Yang Jigang's hefty retake fees, he still wanted to sign up for an expensive cram course costing hundreds of thousands, but my father simply couldn't afford it. Later, I heard that even after retaking the exam, he struggled to get into a mediocre second-tier university. He threw tantrums, threatened self-harm, and begged for another year of retakes, only to be slapped in public. In the end, he ended up at a school so obscure I'd never even heard of its name. As for Aunt Yang, without my mother and my father sharing the mundane burdens of daily life, she could no longer enjoy only the romantic and carefree pleasures. I heard that she and my father had small fights every 3 days and big fights every 5. The neighbors filed noise complaints many times. After a long process of litigation and mediation, they finally reached the moment of official divorce. On the day we went to court, I accompanied my mother. After finishing the paperwork, my mother opened the convertible top on her newly bought sports car. The bright-colored car sped through the wind, and the car stereo played an aria from the musical Elizabeth. I heard my mother singing along. It was Princess Sisai's confession. "If you try to change me, I will break free, for I belong only to myself." Story 2. I'm Allergic to peanuts, but my boyfriend's adopted sister didn't believe me. On my boyfriend's birthday, she teamed up with others to lock me in the basement, leaving only 2 packs of peanuts behind. Later, they went on a trip and forgot about me in the basement. Starving and desperate, I finally gave in and ate the peanuts, which triggered a fatal allergic reaction that suffocated me. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day I first met her. She handed me a slice of cake spread with peanut butter, saying with a warm smile, "Eileen, try this, it's really delicious." The sight of her face sent a wave of hatred washing over my soul. He grabbed the cake and smeared it right across her face. "If you like it, have some more." Julian had just arrived and shouted sharply, "Eileen, what are you doing?" I stared at him and said slowly, "You know I'm allergic to peanuts. Your sister thought it was delicious, so I gave her some." Tessa's ferocious expression suddenly turned pitiful. She sobbed and explained, "Brother, I just wanted to treat Eileen to some cake. I didn't mean to make her have an allergic reaction." Julian's heart ached as he pulled her into his arms, gently wiping the cake from her face with a handkerchief. He soothed her softly. "It's all right now. None of this was your fault." Then he turned to me, his gaze turning to ice. "Eileen, you've gone too far. Apologize to Tessa right now." I fell silent, and when I looked down, I saw a bouquet of flowers tightly wrapped in plastic at my feet. In my previous life, when I first met Tessa, I didn't know what gift to bring, so I bought a bouquet of fragrant lilies. She said she was allergic to pollen, so I wrapped them in plastic and placed them under the table. But when I told her I was allergic to peanuts, she seemed not to understand and still gave me a cake spread with peanut butter, causing me to have an allergic reaction, choke, and be rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. And then Tessa kept insisting I eat peanuts over and over again, with these thoughts running through my mind. I bent down, picked up the bouquet, tore off the plastic wrap, and thrust the flowers right in Tessa's face. "I'm sorry, Tessa. I went about offering you cake the wrong way. I'll do better next time." Tessa stared at the bouquet as if she'd seen a ghost, frantically flailing her arms to bat the flowers away. The more she thrashed, the more pollen scattered into the air. Red welts quickly bloomed across Tessa's fair skin. Julian's expression shifted abruptly as he swiftly wrapped the flowers in plastic and tossed them into the corner. Tessa sobbed, covering her face with her hands. "Brother, I'm having an allergic reaction. Get me to the hospital now. I can't stand breaking out in hives." Julian took off his suit jacket, wrapped it around Tessa, and gathered her in his arms to carry her away. His gaze cut through me like a blade as he passed. "Eileen, how could you be so vicious?" I replied with dripping sarcasm. "Julian, I just wanted to apologize to your sister. I never meant to trigger her allergies." After they left, I couldn't help but scoff. I'd only given Tessa a taste of her own medicine. What? Did he make me out to be some kind of monster? Back at Dylan's place, my own brother Dylan was sitting on the couch, his face seething with suppressed anger. Having known Julian and his sister since childhood, he naturally sided with Tessa. "Eileen, what exactly did you do to Tessa today?" I met his gaze across the table. "I gave Tessa a piece of cake. Is there a problem with that?" Dylan shot to his feet and clamped his hand around my wrist with immense force. Backlit by the lamp, he looked down at me and demanded in a low voice, "What did Tessa ever do to you, that you'd mess with her like that? You're about to get engaged to Julian, to become Tessa's sister-in-law. Is this how you plan to act as an elder?" I tilted my head to look at the man who bore a striking resemblance to me, curling my lips in a cold sneer. "Are we that close? Since when do you get to tell me how to be someone's sister-in-law?" With that, I yanked Dylan's hand away and rubbed my reddened wrist. I'd only been back at Dylan's place for 3 months, and we hadn't even shared 10 meals together. Beyond blood ties, we're practically strangers who barely know each other. That Dylan certainly knows how to throw his weight around as the big brother. In our past life, he was one of the people who teamed up with Tessa to lock me in the basement. Dylan tricked me into going down to the basement to fetch some bottles of wine. The moment I stepped inside, they locked the door from the outside. Through the loudspeaker, they said to me, "Eileen, there's nothing else in there. If you get hungry, remember to eat the peanuts. They're in the drawer. It's full of peanuts. You're not allergic. Just try some if you're hungry. I'm sure you'll be fine." The basement was eerily empty, with just a few shelves and nothing but peanuts in the drawers. No matter how desperately I screamed for help, no one came to open the door. I was trapped there alone for 3 days, and went hungry for all 3. If I eat peanuts, I'll have an allergic reaction and suffocate. If I don't eat, I might starve to death. In the end, I chose to eat the peanuts, and then I choked just before dying. I thought I saw a blurry figure carrying me out. In a daze, I thought I heard someone say Julian and the others had gone on a trip. The memories I'd been deliberately ignoring began replaying in my mind like a slideshow. A suffocating agony, along with an intense hatred, suddenly washed over me. With red-rimmed eyes, I glared at Dylan, my breathing growing ragged. I clenched my fist and sent Dylan sprawling with a single punch. I work out regularly, so my punches pack a decent wallop. Dylan lay face down on the ground, bruised and bloodied with twin streams of blood trickling from his nose. Lay another hand on me. "Dylan, And you'll regret it. After delivering my parting shot, I headed straight upstairs. I packed my bags hastily and walked out of Dylan's place without a backward glance. Just as I stepped outside Dylan's house, I ran into Julian again. He'd probably left his suit jacket with Tessa, still wearing the same tailored black shirt from lunch that hugged his athletic frame perfectly, radiating that mature masculine appeal. No wonder I was so infatuated with him in my past life, but having died once, I see right through him now. I looked up at Julian blocking my path, my expression detached too. "Excuse me," he pressed down on my suitcase, squinting his eyes. "Where do you think you're going? We're getting engaged in 2 days. Come with me to the hospital and apologize to Tessa, then we'll check out the venue and properly prepare for our engagement." He started dictating my every move without a second thought, as if he'd completely forgotten he'd just berated me at noon. It's baffling how I ever put up with him back then. I even agreed to marry him and threw him a birthday party after he took Tessa's side. That first time we met, Tessa literally sent me to the emergency room. She showed up at the hospital with an apology gift that contained peanut products. After being repeatedly offended, I got so angry that I threw the gift box right at her feet. "I'm sorry, Eileen, I really didn't mean to do it. These gift sets were recommended by others who said they're great for patients. That's why I brought them for you." She knelt on the floor, weeping as she gathered her things, a truly pitiful sight, lying here in this hospital bed. I'm the one who ends up looking like the villain. Julian saw what happened and helped her up. Tessa meant well. Was that really necessary? She's young and bound to make mistakes. Don't be so nitpicky. We're going to be family soon. That time, Julian talked me into forgiving her, which only made her escalate her behavior later on. She actually put peanuts directly in my food and went around telling everyone I wasn't actually allergic. See, Eileen doesn't have a single rash, no sneezing or runny nose either. It's nothing like an allergic reaction. "Oh, you mean choking? I can do that too." Then she grabbed her neck playfully, mimicking my choking performance. Whenever I tried to hold her accountable, they'd all make excuses for Tessa, saying she's just a kid who loves to fool around, and told me not to take it personally. Julian kept taking her side, and I kept forgiving her, which only made Tessa push her luck more and more. In the end, they actually locked me up, and Julian right here was an accomplice too. It was his birthday that day. The basement was in his villa. Why didn't he even look for me? I'm his fiancée, missing for days, and he still had the nerve to go on vacation. During those 3 days locked in the basement, I thought about a lot of things. I came to one conclusion: Julian never loved me at all. I kept imagining how I'd get back at him if I ever got out, playing out the scenarios in my head over and over. An apology? Not a chance, if it's just to look at engagement venues. That's acceptable. Countless thoughts raced through my mind, but in the end I only conceded half a step, because when it comes to the engagement ceremony, I have my own plans. With Julian acting as mediator, Tessa and I maintained a surface-level civility at the engagement venue. The floral wall was entirely artificial flowers, likely arranged by Julian specifically for Tessa. I wouldn't have minded artificial flowers in my past life, but this time, I wasn't satisfied, so I rejected them all. I prefer fresh flowers. Replace all these artificial ones. All the roses and lilies must be fresh. We'll create a flower wall and also display floral arrangements to fill the entire venue with their fragrance. Tessa immediately tensed up upon hearing this. Her pollen allergy made her fair skin break out in a rash that looked absolutely awful, yet she couldn't bear to miss Julian's engagement ceremony. After all, she was determined to steal the spotlight and upstage me, the bride-to-be's sister in-law. Shooting me a resentful glare, she video called Julian. "Brother, Eileen and I are at the venue. Aren't these floral walls stunning?" She tilted her face up with a smile, striking her most flattering angle while subtly adjusting the camera to give Julian a clear view of the floral wall backdrop. She circled the floral wall once and let out a wistful sigh. "I absolutely adore these decorations. The venue is already perfect, but Eileen still isn't satisfied and wants to change them. Could you talk to her and convince her not to make the changes?" When the call was transferred to me, Julian's tone was calm yet left no room for argument. "No need to change it. We'll hold the ceremony tomorrow. There's no point in delaying." Off-screen, Tessa raised a triumphant eyebrow and mouthed the words, "I win." I couldn't help but chuckle softly. Was that really something worth gloating over? I tossed her my phone and stormed off in faint anger. After returning home, I watched through the surveillance feed as Tessa discussed with the staff about adding a shiitake mushroom dish to the menu. Eileen insisted we must add shiitake mushrooms because she loves them. Seeing this, I nodded in satisfaction and stepped onto the balcony with my half glass of red wine to enjoy the breeze. I'm not a fan of shiitake mushrooms, but Julian's grandmother is actually allergic to them. Tessa once used this exact trick to set me up. This time, I'm going to make sure her true colors are revealed. I threw my head back and drained the glass of red wine in one go, filled with anticipation for what tomorrow would bring. The next day at the engagement banquet, the elite of Jiangqing gathered in full force. Tessa, dressed in a white gown, sat on the brightly lit stage and played the piano with effortless grace. As the piece concluded, thunderous applause erupted from the audience, with a self-satisfied expression. Tessa's gaze swept across the crowd, and when her eyes met mine, she shot me a look of pure defiance. I gave a faint smile, waiting for her to make a move. Sure enough, Tessa drifted off the stage like a feather, approached Julian, and affectionately linked her arm with his. Brother, I'd love to see Eileen perform too. I've heard she's really amazing. Eileen, with all the elders and everyone here in River City today, why don't you give everyone a chance to really get to know you? 3. Julian let her cling to his arm as he turned to look at me. I shook my head. I don't have any special talents, so let's just forget it. In my previous life, I hadn't practiced the piano for so long that my rushed performance was completely overshadowed by Tessa's piece, the result of 3 months of dedicated practice. Later, that performance was deliberately posted online as a comparison, and I became the laughingstock of the entire internet. Here we go again with this trick. I'm not going on stage just to be her foil and make her shine. After all, performing isn't my forte. No need to fight for this little bit of spotlight. The ceremony is over. Let the banquet begin. Dylan's and Julian's families are seated at the same table, including Julian's grandmother. As the eldest present, she takes the seat of honor. Tessa pretended not to understand the seating arrangement and squeezed right next to her, eagerly serving her food. Grandma, try this soup. Sister Eileen specially had it added. I'm sure it tastes wonderful. The old lady lifted her eyelids, glanced at her, and didn't refuse. I curled the corner of my lips, eagerly anticipating the drama that was about to unfold. The old lady is allergic to shiitake mushrooms, and there are shiitake mushrooms in the dish. This is going to be interesting. Tessa kept a straight face, but out of the corner of her eye, she was watching closely. She genuinely hoped the old lady would have an allergic reaction so she could pin the blame on me. Just like that, she could take out 2 enemies at once. Tessa was adopted by Julian's parents, but she has impure feelings for her adoptive brother Julian, so it's no surprise she's hostile towards me. As for Julian's grandmother, she had warned Julian to keep his distance from her to avoid making a fool of himself and earning her resentment. With a clatter, the old woman's soup spoon hit the floor. The soup, there are mushrooms in the soup. Chaos erupted, and the old woman was taken away by an ambulance. All eyes were on me, Julian's face darkening with anger. Eileen, I told you. Grandma can't eat mushrooms. Why did you add this dish? Everyone started whispering among themselves. Just like in my past life, all convinced it was my fault. I blinked, squeezing out 2 tears. I didn't. I never ordered this dish. Tessa hid behind Julian with a worried expression. Eileen, you asked the planning company to make a lot of changes yesterday. Maybe you just forgot. Julian stepped in front of me and demanded, still trying to talk your way out of this? Even my own brother Dylan sided with Tessa, apologizing to everyone on my behalf as if my guilt was certain. With such grave accusations hanging over me, I found myself utterly defenseless, tears streaming down my face. I could only point upward. I didn't. Check the security footage if you don't believe me. If you trust me so little, then let's just call off this engagement. With that, I lifted my dress and ran out in tears. After leaving the hotel, I kept running while wiping away my tears, then pulled out my phone to watch the live stream. Rich people's engagement parties sure are something. They even have reporters broadcasting it live. The moment I clicked in, I saw Tessa breaking down in tears, trying to explain herself to everyone. Brother, this is all a misunderstanding. Eileen went out of her way to install surveillance, and the footage has been edited. She's setting me up. Tessa was making excuses. Anyone could see the video was seamless. With no signs of editing, the live stream didn't lie. It captured every moment of Tessa adding ingredients to the dish, arranging the plates, and later trying to frame me. Unfortunately, the broadcast was cut short, and the video got scrubbed from the entire internet. The engagement ceremony ended in chaos, with Tessa playing sick and easily winning Julian's forgiveness. As for me, feeling wronged, I left Jiangqing and went straight back to my adoptive parents' home. I need to leave them hanging for a while. Otherwise, I won't be able to push for what I want. I'm back in Pingqing. My adoptive parents are abroad, so I only got to see my sister Larissa. Just like old times, we sat in the garden, sipping tea and chatting. Larissa had heard about what happened to me in Jiangqing and gave me a share of the Lan family stocks. Take these for now. If things don't work out, you can always come back and work with me. The Lan family's wealth was on par with the Dillons, making them one of Pingqing's established middle-class elite families. The Dillons only acknowledged me to arrange a marriage alliance with the Julian family. As it happened, Julian and I were already dating, so I naturally ended up moving to Jiangqing. In my previous life, my sister Larissa worried I might struggle, so she gave me shares in U Corporation as a safety net. Even my foster sister offered some support, but Dylan's family and Julian wouldn't spare a single penny, so if they want to use me again, they'll have to show some real sincerity. Otherwise, I'm not going back. 2 weeks later, Julian finally showed up. I kept him waiting for 2 days before agreeing to return. While Julian stepped out to take a call during Larissa's dinner invitation, she shook her head at me. He's not good enough. Why are you going back to him? If you stayed in Pingcheng, I could line up dozens of men at his level for you. I winked at her and said, don't worry, sis, I'm not losing out on anything. Julian promised me a small company, and Dylan's family also gave me shares, which met my expectations. You little rascal, finally learning to be shrewd. I nodded smugly, taking it as a compliment. On the way back, Julian's phone kept ringing. He answered a few times, and each time it was Tessa's voice. Brother, when are you coming back? Brother, my pollen allergies are acting up again. I feel awful. Grandma yelled at me, sobbing. Brother, what should I do? The constant brother this, brother that was grating on my nerves, so I just bundled up in my blanket and went to sleep. When I saw Tessa again, her acting had gotten even better. She acted like nothing had happened, sweetly calling me sis. I was rolling my eyes internally, but had to respond to her greeting outwardly. After all, Julian's birthday was just around the corner. The time was approaching when I'd be locked in the basement. We're going to settle all scores, old and new. On Julian's birthday, I felt an unusual sense of calm after getting dressed. I tucked a small paper bag into my purse and headed to Julian's villa. As I stepped into the basement, a wave of hunger, fear, and suffocation suddenly washed over me. I took a deep breath and emptied all the pollen from the small paper bag into the drawer. When I reached the exit, I ran into Tessa. She was holding a bag in her hand. I know, that's the bag we used for peanuts in our past life. She had a moment of panic, but when she noticed my out-of-season haute couture gown, her confidence returned. Eileen, it's our brother's birthday today. Why are you dressed so shabbily, even after you tried to sabotage me and turned brother against me? He still dotes on me. See, these are all the latest clothes and jewelry my brother picked up for me in advance. First, she lifted her chin and raised the hem of her dress, preening like a peacock showing off its plumage. I curled my lips slightly and uttered just one sentence. It's just pocket change. Besides, everything he has will be mine someday anyway. Her face contorted instantly as she charged straight at me. I squared my shoulders, and the moment she collided with me, she hissed in pain. TCH, you're not even a real woman. I just shrugged indifferently and went back to the living room. Julian stood in his crisp suit, gazing at me through the crowd with a gentle, smiling expression in his eyes. Eileen, come cut the cake with me. By having me cut the cake publicly, he was subtly affirming my status to everyone present. It showed that what happened at the engagement party was nothing but a farce. Holding up the hem of my dress, I walked toward him step by step. A profound sense of doubt lingered in my heart. In my past life, when I was locked in the basement, what was going through his mind? How could he go on a trip with a clear conscience while his fiancée was missing? Julian's warm palm covered the back of my hand as we held the knife together, pressing down in unison. Suddenly, a piercing scream echoed through the villa. Tessa covered her face, ran out sobbing, and threw herself into Julian's arms. Dylan reacted even more strongly than Julian in the crowd, immediately stepping forward to hold her shoulders with a pained expression. Tessa, who did this to you? Angry red rashes covered Tessa's hands, face, and neck against her pale skin. Her hands couldn't conceal them all. She turned to look at me, sobbing uncontrollably, but refused to speak. Her silence spoke louder than words. The finger was pointed at me. Eileen, how could you be so despicable and vicious? Dylan lost all sense of propriety and started yelling accusations at me right then and there. None of the distinguished guests were fools. They all fell silent and turned their eyes to Julian. Ahem, if you're feeling unwell, you should go to the hospital. Julian's grandmother suddenly appeared, seated in a wheelchair and being pushed into the room. It looked as though she had just come from the hospital. Tessa instinctively shrank behind Dylan at the sight of her. Grandma, what brings you here? The elderly woman patted my hand and produced a will. This was left by Julian's father for his future daughter-in-law. It should have been presented at the engagement, but I had an unexpected situation. Tessa sobbed with her head bowed, and Dylan's heart ached at the sight. He held her in his arms and spoke up for her. Grandma, that day was just an accident. The old lady ignored her and continued. Today is Julian's birthday, so it's the perfect time to bring out the will. Otherwise, if I pass away someday, some matters might become unclear. In the previous life, there was also a will detailing Julian's father's overseas real estate and valuable collections, which were worth a fortune. In return, I also offered Julian the shares that Larissa had given me as a gift. Tessa didn't go to the hospital. Her symptoms weren't severe, and the family doctor had medication on hand, applying it right away, so she recovered about 70 to 80%. However, she still hid in the small garden, refusing to stay in the living room any longer. What Having fun, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's basic decency even a child should understand. Why can't you ever learn? Tessa pointed at me, seething with rage. You did this. I nodded and poured the half glass of wine over her head. If you hadn't intended to harm me with peanuts, how would you have gotten pollen on yourself? Oh, and by the way, don't you think it's odd that you had my brother send me to fetch wine from the basement? First, this is Julian's villa. Dylan is just a guest. He has no business ordering anyone to get wine. Second, there are waiters all over this birthday party, so why single me out to fetch the wine? Tessa glared at me, her face and hair drenched in alcohol. Just then, the phone rang abruptly. It was Dylan calling. I smirked and put the call on speakerphone. Eileen, Julian mentioned that the premium wines Uncle collected are in the basement. Could you grab a bottle? Dylan's voice carried, and Tessa heard it too. Immediately lunging for the phone, I sidestepped her and calmly replied, Tessa and I are both in the basement. I don't see the wine anywhere. Would you like to come help us look? Tessa cried out in alarm. Dylan, don't come down. 5. I immediately hung up, cutting her off. You need to tell Dylan right now, or he's going to be locked in the basement. Don't you know he's your own brother? So what if he's my brother? He'd still team up with outsiders to hurt me. Hurry up before it's too late. Tessa's dress was form-fitting with a narrow, long hem. Without her phone, she could only take quick, tiny steps as she hurried to find Dylan. Watching her mince along, I called out, if you tear the hem, you'll be able to run faster. She paused mid-step but didn't tear her dress. She probably couldn't bear to. After all, it was a gift from Julian. I felt a surge of delight, reveling in the freedom of casting aside moral constraints and indulging in sweet revenge against those who deserved it. When I ran into Julian, he leaned in to kiss me, and I didn't recoil or show any disgust. Instead, I smiled and gently blocked his lips with my palm. Looking for me, seeing my resistance, Julian studied me for a few seconds before casually slinging an arm around my shoulders. I'd like to strengthen ties with the Yu family and collaborate with your sister. What do you think? That's your business. No need to consult me, but there's no natural opening. If you could transfer your shares to me, Julian said it so casually, as if he were just making small talk, but then it hit me. The answer suddenly exploded in my mind. What Julian wanted all along wasn't me. It was the Yu family. In my past life, I gave him my shares on my birthday. Once I was no longer useful to him, it was better for me to just disappear. After all, he wasn't the one to blame. Larissa couldn't really hold it against him, but how could he just stand by and let Tessa take the fall for a criminal charge? The more I thought about it, the more uneasy I felt. I grabbed a glass of water and downed it in one go. Let's talk about the shares another time. I'm feeling a bit lightheaded and need to rest. With that, I left Julian behind and stepped away from the balcony. After walking for a bit, I realized I actually felt a little dizzy. I sighed and looked up. Right in front of me was the entrance to the basement. The door was shut tight. Pressing my ear against it, I could hear sounds coming from inside. Dylan, you didn't bring your phone either. No. Tessa, what are we going to do? This basement entrance is way too remote. Shouting won't help. We'll just have to wait until my brother realizes we're missing. That damn Eileen, she actually set us up. She's such a bitch. Dylan joined Tessa in cursing me out. My fingers slowly lifted from the door open button. I'm not as vicious as them. I only meant to teach them a small lesson, but since their mouths are so filthy, they can stay locked up a bit longer. The birthday party had ended. While staff were cleaning up on the first floor, the second floor was quiet. I pressed my forehead, wanting to find a room to rest. Suddenly, I heard Julian and his grandmother's voices, and they happened to be talking about me. Is Eileen still refusing to transfer the shares to you? Yeah, she seems to have some reservations. I'll spend more time with her over the next while. Once we officially have the wedding, she'll probably come around. Are you sure about this? Don't worry, Grandma. Eileen is completely devoted to me. She just isn't fond of Tessa, but no matter how much she dislikes Tessa, didn't she still agree to marry me? I leaned against the wall, and the more I listened, the clearer my mind became. Julian's words confirmed my suspicions. He doesn't love me. I'm just a tool he's using. Fortunately, since my rebirth, I no longer have any feelings for him. He's after my family, the Yes, and I'm after his, the Julians. Fair's fair. We'll just have to see who comes out on top. I pricked up my ears and kept listening. The old lady mentioned Tessa again, her tone dripping with disdain. We can't indulge Tessa too much. She's got big ambitions. Grandma, she still has her uses. An idea struck me. I pressed the intercom switch by the door, piping Julian and the old woman's conversation down to the basement. Let Tessa hear how her own brother really sees her. Dylan's quite taken with her. She might not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but her mother Zhao Jun is another story. Using her to keep Dylan on a leash is a smart move. That girl might not play along so nicely. Aren't you worried she'll turn on you? Julian paused for a few seconds before letting out a light, confident chuckle. Grandma, I'm her brother. She'll listen to me. As expected, Julian's intentions toward Tessa were purely utilitarian. His so-called doting was merely sprinkling some fertilizer to keep Tessa tethered. I shook my head, inwardly unsettled by the depth of Julian's cunning. I turned around and went to open the basement door. The heavy door slowly swung open, revealing Tessa standing behind it, looking dazed with a trace of pain in her eyes. Dylan was seething with anger, yet he still remembered to show concern for her. Leaning against the wall, I asked, "So, what do you think of a brother like that?" Tessa snapped out of her daze and glared at me. "Don't you dare try to drive a wedge between me and my brother. My brother loves me deeply. That's never changed since we were kids. You staged this whole thing and fabricated this audio, didn't you?" I was speechless at her self-deception and pointed at the speaker on the wall. "That's coming from the tea room on the second floor. If you don't believe me, go check if they're still there." The moment I finished speaking, Tessa tore her skirt and sprinted away. Dylan shot me a complicated look and followed close behind. I swept my hair back and stepped into the basement. The heavy door slammed shut behind me, but I felt no fear. I knew every inch of this villa by now, ever since my rebirth. Nightmares of being trapped in that basement had haunted me, leaving me restless. To eliminate any chance of being harmed again, I obtained the villa's blueprints early on, studying its layout while making my own modifications. For instance, a cell phone is hidden somewhere in the basement for emergency calls. For example, the last drawer compartment contains drinking water and dry rations for sustenance. As an example, a certain remote control can activate reverse audio monitoring. I pried the remote control from beneath the drawer, its underside still sticky, and press 2-2. Room 2 on the second floor is Julian's tea room. "Brother, if you marry Eileen, will you abandon me? Don't be silly. You'll always be my little sister." "Wah, then I want to get married too, with Dylan. Let's discuss this further." "Brother, do you actually want me to get married?" Tessa's final cry was a shrill, broken sound. The outcome of Julian's discussion was that Tessa would marry Dylan, with their wedding scheduled half a month after Julian's, on my wedding day with Julian. Complex emotions flickered in Tessa's eyes from time to time, frenzied, resentful, ready to risk it all. I chose to wait and see how things would unfold. After the reception, I was worrying about how to deal with Julian since I didn't want to share a room with him. Tessa showed up at the door, completely ignoring the fact that I was the bride, dressed in a seductive nightgown. She grabbed Julian and said they had urgent business to attend to. Just minutes later, Dylan, who had stayed behind after the wedding, came looking for me too. He immediately launched into a barrage of accusations. "Eileen, what on earth are you playing at? Mom offered you control of Zhao Corporation and you actually accepted. Then Tessa walks off with your husband and you don't even protest. Have you lost your mind?" I raised a finger and wagged it slowly. "First, you ignored Mom's objections and jumped at the chance to marry Tessa without a second thought. She's disappointed in you. As a member of the Dylan family, it's only natural for me to take on responsibilities. There's nothing I'd shy away from. Besides, unlike your distrust toward your fiancé, I have full faith in my husband's integrity. There's no need for you to come to me. That's all I have to say. You may leave now." With that, I closed the door without another word. I had a good night's sleep and slept straight through till morning. 6. I only found out this morning that Tessa had attempted suicide last night. She was taken to the hospital, and Julian stayed there with her all night without coming home. On my way to the hospital, I got a call from Larissa. "Hey sis, what's up?" Larissa snorted. "I should be asking you that. Your sister-in-law really outdid herself, attempting suicide on her brother's wedding night. Even I heard about it. So, are you two sticking together?" Larissa is actually worried about me. She doesn't know my plan and still thinks I'm in love with Julian, afraid I might get hurt. I wonder if she sought justice for me in our past life, after I died from that allergic reaction in this world. If even she didn't stand up for me, perhaps I truly would have died with my grievance unheard. "Hey, why aren't you saying anything?" I snapped back to reality. "I'm fine. Just give me a few more days. If things really become unbearable, I'll file for divorce and leave." I wasn't lying. I will divorce Julian, but only after I get what I want. Tessa was making a scene just to keep Julian by her side. Even after hearing those words from the loudspeaker, she still couldn't believe that Julian, who had always been so affectionate toward her, was merely using her to make matters worse. When Julian heard she was going to marry Dylan, he didn't even object, and that's what pushed her over the edge. On their wedding night, she seduced Julian, partly to get back at me, partly to keep him from spending the night with me, but mostly to confirm her place in his heart. How pitiful and pathetic. I still have to maintain my devoted persona and act jealous. When we arrived at the hospital, I adjusted my expression in the car mirror, pretending to be heartbroken. I even put eye drops in my eyes to create teary eyes. The moment I stepped into the ward and saw Julian keeping watch over Tessa, my voice caught in a quiet sob. "Julian, have you been here all this time?" Julian turned, a flicker of guilt flashing in his eyes. "Eileen, I'm sorry. Tessa is sick. I can't just abandon her. I lowered my head, hiding the sarcasm in my eyes as I wiped away tears from the corner. I brought you some breakfast. Have it before heading to the office. Bro, I want some too. Tessa woke up just in time, eyeing the lunchbox in my hand with pitiful frailty. She ended up eating the breakfast from that lunchbox. Julian was deeply apologetic to me, and I told him I understood. I then offered to help out at the company. After that, I started working at Xiao's, assisting with various matters, especially when Tessa was throwing particularly bad tantrums and Julian couldn't make it to the office. I would temporarily take over his duties. I'd coordinate with his executive assistant to keep things running smoothly that day. I went to the hospital with the documents. Tessa pressed her lips against Julian's. I stayed silent, but Dylan, who was a step behind me, let out a pained cry. Tessa. The two people by the hospital bed immediately sprang apart. I turned and walked away, and Julian came chasing after me. Eileen, it's not what you think. It was just an accident. I blinked, and 2 streams of tears rolled down my cheeks. Fine, then move her wedding forward and get her married off immediately. My rare outburst flustered Julian. After all, I still held the Yu family shares and controlled most of the Dylan family assets, while Dylan himself had been stripped of authority in his own house. If I walked away, Julian would be left with nothing. All his carefully laid plans would go down the drain. How could an ambitious man like Julian ever tolerate this? So he agreed to distance himself from Tessa and move up her wedding with Dylan. No, I won't get married. I won't leave you, brother. Eileen must have threatened you, didn't she? Tessa checked herself out of the hospital and went straight to Julian's place, throwing a tantrum and refusing to get married no matter what. She even threatened Julian, saying it's either her or me. I walked out of the study with a cup of coffee and splashed it right in her face. Are you done making a scene? You were the one who proposed marrying Dylan, and now you're the one backing out. Are we really doing this again? Tessa froze for a second, then started yelling. This is all your fault. You provoked me. That day, in the basement, I raised an eyebrow. What happened that day? Tessa stopped mid-sentence, suddenly falling silent. 7. She climbed down from the balcony and threw herself into Julian's arms, sobbing. She was afraid that if she exposed how Julian had been using her, the genuine feelings she thought they shared would cease to exist. Brother, I'll marry you. I will. Please stay with me. Sobbing, I couldn't be bothered to watch any longer, so I turned and strode away, my heels clacking sharply against the floor. Larissa's here in Jiangcheng. I'm going to spend some time with her, and by the way, I'm too busy to attend Tessa's wedding, though I did have Julian deliver quite the extravagant gift. A pair of jade-carved children figurines. 1 boy, 1 girl. What brings you the free time to go shopping with me? With a swift gesture of her hand, Larissa indicated several seasonal women's outfits, which the shop assistant promptly retrieved and presented. I picked up an item and held it against her, raising my eyebrows with a playful smile. My treat this time. I might need a few small favors from you later, sis. Larissa agreed without hesitation, then went on a shopping spree that mercilessly drained my bank account, just as you and I sat down for afternoon tea. A breaking news alert popped up on my phone. #scandal in a wealthy family. #, the Julian siblings. Oh my god, the eldest son of the Julian family is involved with his adopted sister. The sister is absolutely insane. Not only did she expose the scandal at her own wedding, but she also revealed the Julian family's shady business practices. They're in for a world of trouble. Oh my, am I the only one feeling bad for that jade sculpture on the floor? Must be worth millions. Good. But the gossip is way more juicy. LOL. I skimmed through it, put down my phone, and took a sip of black tea. Larissa frowned at me. Is this what you meant by needing help? Are you planning to completely crush Tessa? I gazed at the tallest building in the city center and slowly shook my head. Sis, don't get me wrong. Why use a sledgehammer to crack a nut? You've got bigger fish to fry than this trivial matter. What I want is to take down the Julian family. Larissa's face lit up with a smile as she raised her teacup to clink with mine. Tessa finally realized Julian was just using her. Love turned to bitter hatred, driving her to madness as she fabricated lies about Julian's infidelity. When Julian slapped her right then and there, she snapped and exposed all the dirty secrets he'd been hiding, the kind that could land him in prison. With Julian in trouble and the Chow Corporation in chaos, I was the only one who could step in and clean up the mess Julian had been locked up for days, his face covered in stubble and his eyes heavy with gloom. The moment he saw me in the detention center, he said, Eileen, it's you, isn't it? I nodded, my face expressionless. So, you'd better come clean and try to get out of here as soon as possible, because on your birthday, I overheard your conversation with the old lady. His gaze faltered. He stared at me for a few seconds, then shook his head. There must be more to it than that. He was sharp enough to realize those words alone couldn't have caused such a drastic change in me, but I could never tell anyone the secret of my rebirth. Tessa didn't fare much better afterward. She used allergies to mess with me and others, even causing a death. She paid her way out before, but if this comes to light now, it'll land her in prison, let her and her dear brother rot in jail. Dylan, that accomplice, is a fool. He's never actually committed any crimes under the penal code in this lifetime, but I hold a grudge from our past lives. In this one, I won't leave him a single cent. Congratulations, little sister, for taking down 2 families at once. Thank you, big sister. I don't need the family's shares. Let's discuss a partnership instead. In this lifetime, I will not merely exist, I will truly live, and live well. That is the very reason I have returned. The end. Story 2. My name is Bella, and I'm an orphan. I have an extremely superstitious best friend, Sophia, who is like a little witch, after the zombie outbreak. Relying on the large quantities of supplies we had prepared in advance, we chose to lie low and slack off, and thus managed to survive successfully. On April 1st, 2035, April Fool's Day, I don't know which heartless person hacked into my computer and popped up a terrifying spoof window similar to the scenes in The Walking Dead. As soon as I turned on the computer, I saw a group of zombies gnawing on the head of an extra. The brain matter, mixed with splashing blood, filled the entire screen. The extra's limbs and lower body had already been torn to pieces by the zombies, his abdomen was ripped open, and both his small and large intestines were dug out. I've always been a timid person, and I was so scared that I let out a scream and dropped the computer. It was mealtime. My best friend Sophia, who lived next door, was originally cooking. When she heard the commotion, she rushed in directly from the connected balcony between our 2 houses, holding a knife. Bella, what's going on? What happened? In an instant, a little girl with double ponytails wearing a black Lolita dress appeared in the room. Half of her originally delicate and fair face was splattered with blood. The white apron tied in front of her was stained a large area red by some unknown red liquid. In her small hand, she was menacingly waving a knife that was still dripping with blood, looking quite imposing. What on earth are you? Damn. Did she come straight from a dismemberment scene? I twitched the corners of my mouth, and the rest of my words were completely scared out of me by Sophia in this ghostly appearance. I was just killing a fish. Sophia looked down at her apron, and her eyes instantly showed indignation. Oh, by the way, you have no idea, that fish. For a long time after that, Sophia talked nonstop, vividly and with great gestures, describing to me how incredibly difficult it was to completely slaughter that fish. Well, actually, for just a fish, there's really no need to go to such lengths. I don't know how much time had passed, but Sophia finally noticed the slightly pale look on my face. She coughed a few times, then hid the knife behind her back and brought the topic back. So, what's wrong with you? You screamed so loudly. You scared me into thinking you had been violated. Upon hearing this, I came back to my senses, silently swallowed my saliva, and reluctantly pointed at the computer on the ground. Following the direction of my finger, Sophia picked up the computer on the ground with a suspicious look. On the pop-up window of the computer screen, a group of zombies were fighting over the extras. Well, probably the small intestine. Damn it. Sophia, who was caught off guard, had bulging veins on her face. Obviously, she was also taken aback. Bella, you really have a taste for such gruesome things. It's not like that. I didn't. I cowered under the quilt and looked at Sophia pitifully. However, the next second, when my eyes accidentally glanced at the bloody scene on the computer, I felt so nauseous that my stomach churned. Before I could finish my sentence, I rushed into the bathroom. After that spoof video, I had a low fever for 3 whole days. Sophia, who has always been superstitious, thought something was wrong. How could I, who usually have a physical constitution stronger than a cow, have a fever just because of a spoof video? She kept nagging these days that she wanted to do a divination for me. Well, although Sophia is superstitious, her divination skills are indeed remarkable. There has always been a rumor in this area that she is the top little witch in Fengqing district. At midnight, Sophia set up the divination ritual platform with sleepy eyes. At her command, I casually drew a tarot card. It was the 10 of Swords in the upright position, an extremely ominous omen. Damn it, why is it exactly this card? Sophia, not believing in bad luck, shuffled the card several times and asked me to draw again, but somehow, I seemed to be under some sort of spell every time. By some strange coincidence, I just happened to draw this card. Seeing Sophia's face getting darker and darker, I also started to feel nervous. Sophia, I'm not going to go back to sleep. Sophia put away the tarot cards with a solemn face and pushed me back to the bedroom. After such a commotion, how could I still fall asleep? I endured until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, after being tossed around all night. My body finally started to feel drowsy. Just before my Eyelids closed, a sky glowing with green light outside the window suddenly caught my eye. I tried my best to open my eyes to see if I was hallucinating, but my vision was blurred. I was really too tired, and I fell asleep. The next day, I was awakened by a series of rapid knocks on the door and found it hard to fall back asleep. Bella, stop sleeping, stop sleeping. The world is going to end soon. How can you still be sleeping? Get up for me right now. Sophia, I'm warning you, it's only 8 o'clock now. 3 seconds later, bang, Sophia kicked open the door of the bedroom. Very well. The intimidation effect, 0. I was literally dragged out of bed by Sophia. Before I even had a chance to get angry about being woken up, I was dragged downstairs by her after a lot of commotion. Amidst my continuous wailing, Sophia pushed me into the passenger seat of a huge truck at the entrance of the community, while she, with her short legs, directly climbed into the driver's seat. Are you serious, Sophia? Even if it's the end of the world, do we have to rush to our deaths right now? I haven't lived enough yet, Sophia. I burst into tears with a loud cry. I don't remember that this heartless Sophia has ever passed the truck driver's license exam, but to my surprise, Sophia wordlessly inserted the car key, started the engine, shifted gears, and released the clutch in one smooth motion. On the highway of the 5th Ring Road, the speed immediately increased to over 100 miles per hour. Listen, Bella, I don't have time to waste words with you. We must gather enough living supplies for at least the next 3 years within 3 days. As she spoke, Sophia took out a stack of folded thick papers from her jeans pocket with the hand that had just shifted gears and threw them to me. When I unfolded it, there were 3 A4-sized lists. The huge amount of supplies listed on the 3 full pages made me feel dizzy. After you left last night, I made a dream catcher card. The prophecy of the Dreamcatcher card told me that a large-scale influenza virus will break out in Fengqing district in 3 days, and this virus will mutate later. There won't be much of a problem in the early stage, but it will change the cells and cause humans to mutate. So, considering the illness you've had these 2 days and the card you drew, the possible result of this mutated virus in the later stage is very likely to be zombies. I almost dropped my jaw as I blurted out the answer in my heart. Sophia, with a serious expression beside me, nodded gravely. Seeing this, my heart instantly sank. I've always been a timid person, and Sophia has always been a very capable witch. Since I can remember, Sophia has had the skill of divination. Relying on this unique skill, I managed to make a living in the divination studio that Sophia opened on her own, dream catching to foresee the future. This is Sophia's signature skill as a witch, using dreams to capture events that haven't occurred yet in the future. Sophia's prophecies have never been wrong. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, my hand gripping the list couldn't help but start to tremble. Am I going to turn into a zombie? However, Sophia glanced at me indifferently and said calmly, I asked my friend in the hospital to check your blood test reports from these days. This matter has indeed had some impact on you, but since you've been following me, you haven't been following me for nothing all these years. Don't worry. Your genes haven't mutated, and you're still a normal person. After saying that, Sophia casually flicked the half-burned cigarette in her hand. The half-open window let the wind blow up the bangs on her forehead, fully revealing Sophia's exquisitely beautiful and flawless side profile. Before I knew it, my eyes were filled with tears. Was I touched? No. Damn it. Sophia's cigarette ash got into my eyes too. According to the information divined by the Dreamcatcher card, there are still 3 days until the zombie outbreak. After arriving in the city, Sophia and I went our separate ways. She went to the construction company to find someone to renovate our house, and I went to purchase supplies according to the list Sophia gave me. Sophia specifically told me to go to a local warehouse supermarket that wasn't very well known. I remember that not far from this supermarket, there was a newly opened large brand supermarket. The things sold there should be more comprehensive, right? But Sophia told me not to worry about it. I was still wondering, and then I suddenly understood when I passed by the scene next door. That supermarket having a big promotion had a long line of people queuing up all the way outside the mall because of the discount activities, and the supermarket next to it had even fewer customers because of the big promotion next door. It almost reached the point of being completely overlooked. Sophia is so smart. According to Sophia's instructions, I used the secondary card she gave me to make the purchase in the name of a charity organization. I first went to the supermarket and applied for a huge shopping card. The manager in charge on the spot almost had his face split into a wide smile after I recharged the card. I secretly sighed in my heart. Sure enough, 9 out of 10 Lolita girls are rich, and the remaining one is extremely wealthy. And this enthusiastic manager also kindly asked if I needed the goods to be delivered to my door. I quickly refused. If the goods were delivered to the community, wouldn't it expose our situation? Thank you. Our organization has a dedicated freight truck. Later, I'll trouble you to send a few staff members to help me move the supplies. Okay, no problem. Absolutely no problem. Later, I'll come and help you move them myself. I nodded with a smile. This is the charm of money. After repeatedly declining the manager's offer to accompany me for the purchase, I led the 4 employees he assigned to me and went straight to the staple food and vegetable area first, and started moving the goods according to the list: 50 bags of rice, 30 bags of flour, 30 barrels of oil, 30 boxes of various seasonings, 10 boxes of hot pot bases, 50 bags of dried noodles, 20 boxes of dumplings, 20 boxes of wontons, 50 boxes of potatoes, 30 boxes of sweet potatoes, 40 boxes of corn, 30 boxes of pumpkins, 50 boxes of various vegetables, 100 packs of vegetable seeds that can be planted, and 50 boxes of eggs in the meat area, since Sophia had told me in advance that we would go to the farm to buy freshly slaughtered pigs and cows. I only bought a small quantity: 50 pounds of pork, 50 pounds of beef, 30 pounds of chicken, 40 pounds of frozen shrimp, 50 boxes of fatty beef, 40 pounds of frozen fish, and 20 boxes of original cut steaks. It happened to be around the spring festival, so I also bought 50 pounds of cured meat and 80 pounds of the preserved sausage that Sophia loves the most. In the fruit area, I bought 30 boxes of oranges, 20 boxes of pears, 15 boxes of pineapples, 20 boxes of apples, 10 boxes of peaches, 30 boxes of lemons, 10 boxes of watermelons, 20 boxes of passion fruits, 15 boxes of mangosteens, 15 boxes of lychees, 5 boxes of mangoes, and 20 boxes of pomelos. Sophia is usually the most gluttonous. After buying these, I rushed to the snack area without delay. I bought 40 boxes of potato chips, 25 boxes of candies, 30 boxes of Liziuin milk drinks, 20 boxes of AD calcium milk, 15 boxes of melon seeds, 20 boxes of ham sausages, 10 boxes of shrimp crackers, 15 boxes of dried pork slices, 18 boxes of dried beef, 30 boxes of spicy chicken noodles, 20 boxes of biscuits, 30 boxes of spicy strips, 20 boxes of bread, 30 boxes of Coke, 30 boxes of Sprite, 30 boxes of pure milk, 10 boxes of canned milk powder, 30 boxes of luosafen noodles, 50 boxes of self-heating hot pots, 50 boxes of self-heating rice, 50 boxes of instant noodles and crossbridge rice noodles. Oh right, and also what Sophia specifically told me to buy: 20 boxes of wine and 30 boxes of cigarettes. Finally, daily necessities couldn't be left out either. I bought 30 boxes of hand warmers, 10 boxes of toiletries, 10 boxes of body wash, 10 boxes of shampoo, 5 boxes of toilet water, 5 boxes of essential balm for small fans, 50 boxes of tissues, and 60 boxes of sanitary napkins. It should be enough to last until Sophia reaches menopause. Right, when I was leaving and passed by the furniture and general merchandise store next door, I couldn't help but buy 2 double-door refrigerators for large freezers, 5 wok pans, 3 frying pans, 2 pressure cookers, 2 induction cookers, 2 ovens, and 2 treadmills to prevent extreme weather. I also bought 10 quilts, 5 electric blankets, 10 summer quilts, and 10 sets of Sophia's home clothes for all seasons, as well as 5 pairs of slippers. When I led the staff from the mall who were moving the goods to the garage, Sophia, who had been informed in advance, had already driven the truck in. Sophia and I helped the staff moved the goods for a full 3 hours before loading them all onto the truck. It was already the early hours of the morning when we arrived at the community. Fortunately, it was already late at night, so no one would notice when we were moving the goods. When Sophia first entered society, she received a big order and suddenly became very wealthy. To make it convenient for us to live, she bought 2 apartments on the top floor of the community. The 2 apartments together had an area of over 300 square meters, and it also came with a rooftop sky garden as a bonus. Sophia had been busy at home for half a day today. First, she asked the people from the construction company to avoid the load-bearing walls and knock down one side of the wall that separated the 2 houses to create a hidden door. Several rooms that were usually used for storage were also knocked down together with the unoccupied guest rooms to create a larger storage space, and the 2 innermost rooms were separately made into a cold storage room and a constant temperature room, specifically for storing fruits and food that were prone to decay and deterioration. She showed me one by one that all the glass had been made into bulletproof and explosion-proof glass. The originally connected balcony was directly blocked by a wall. The only small window that was 1 meter long and 1 meter wide that was left was also made into an explosion-proof window and pasted with an anti-peeping film. Sophia had looked up a lot of information. She had the walls and floors filled with top-level soundproof panels. The doors of the 2 households were replaced with 50 centimeters thick explosion-proof iron doors, and an additional inner bolt as thick as an arm was added inside. Outside the door, 2 large iron doors were added, which would block the door that led directly to the elevator when one entered the house within the line of sight. The rooftop was originally an open sky garden. Sophia used to cherish it very much and wouldn't let me in, for fear that I would step on her flowers and plants. But when I came in this time, the first thing that caught my eye was a mountain of barreled water that almost filled 2/3 of the area. I really didn't expect that Sophia could actually have someone build such a large shed on the rooftop to protect the most important water resource within half a day. Moreover, An electric fence that was 5 meters high was installed around the rooftop and above it, which was directly connected to the 10 newly installed solar panels on the rooftop. A large part of the small flowers originally planted around the perimeter were also gone. Instead, it was plowed into a piece of muddy land waiting to be developed. You have no idea, I almost got glared at to death by that young water delivery guy from the water delivery store today. He asked me almost every time he made a delivery what I was going to do with so much water. I just have money, and I just want to buy it, and I just want you to move it up here. As Sophia and I went downstairs to move the supplies, she grumbled angrily. Didn't you say anything to him? Now that the end of the world is approaching, Sophia and I have been relying on each other for so many years. We're not those kind-hearted saints. Purchasing such a large amount of water at one time is indeed a very eye-catching thing. We deeply understand that in the apocalypse, what's scarier than monsters is the human heart. If someone were to find out, or even just associate the supplies we've stocked up with preparing for a refuge, I'm afraid that even a door 50 meters thick wouldn't be able to stop those crazy people. Trust me, I've got this. Sophia jumped and sat on a cart that was half her height, built with Coke boxes. She swung her 2 short legs, opened a bottle of Coke with one hand. Tell me how you did it. At that time, I was holding a shovel and pointed at the piece of land where we planned to grow vegetables. I told that guy that I was going to build a swimming pool on the rooftop. I said I would only feel at ease swimming if it was filled with their pure water. Did he believe you? Yeah, he did. You could tell that he thought I was crazy. Ha 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 ha. Of course, I didn't believe it either. Later, after I repeatedly coerced and bribed her, Sophia finally told me the truth. It turned out that she had secretly given a tip that was even more expensive than the thousands of barrels of water. Only then did the water delivery guy happily deliver all the water. Sigh, what a spendthrift. Throughout the rest of the night, Sophia and I didn't feel sleepy at all. We put the supplies we had purchased today into a small cart and carried them up one by one using the elevator. It was almost dawn when we finally finished moving everything out of the 3 large storage rooms formed by combining the 2 apartments. 2.5 of them were completely filled. Sophia took inventory of everything one by one and was very satisfied. She told me that the remaining supplies would arrive tomorrow. What, you're really better at stockpiling than a hamster, lady. Countdown to the zombie outbreak. 2 days after moving the things, Sophia and I didn't dare to sleep much. We set an alarm for a few hours and early in the morning, we arrived at the farm where Sophia had ordered the meat. Sophia had ordered 5 freshly slaughtered pigs, 3 freshly slaughtered cows, 2 freshly slaughtered sheep, 20 geese, and 20 ducks from the farm owner. We also bought 30 slaughtered chickens. At first, when we saw a group of little chicks, we had the idea of raising chickens, but fortunately, Sophia pointed out that the 2 of us lazybones would definitely forget to feed the chickens, so we immediately gave up on that idea. Anyway, the eggs we had stocked at home were enough for the 2 of us to eat for a long time. If necessary, we could set up a greenhouse for cultivation later. When we went to pick up the goods, the farm owner had already prepared everything. He was also a bit puzzled as to why we had ordered so much meat. We explained it by saying it was for an organization's donation. After learning about it, the farm owner warmly gave us 5 boxes of free-range eggs. He also asked someone to help us load the meat onto the truck and praised us for our kindness. It's really not easy for you kids of your age to be volunteers. Looking at you, you both seem like minors. These boxes of eggs are just a little something from me for you to eat and replenish your bodies and grow well. Upon hearing this, Sophia and I exchanged a look at the same time. And kids, what kids, who looks like a minor. Before leaving, we quietly stuffed the money for the eggs on the farm owner's meat stall table. We told him to stock up more supplies just in case, citing the serious situation of the pandemic. Take care of 3. After transporting the truckload of meat back, Sophia and I exerted a great deal of effort to carry it upstairs. Fortunately, it was the day for nucleic acid testing in the community, and it was also a weekday. Everyone was gathered at the nucleic acid testing site, and our building was located relatively at the back, so not many people paid attention to us. Sophia spent the whole afternoon chopping the meat, and I divided the meat pieces into portions and put them into the newly bought large freezers one by one, and then pushed them into the cold storage room. While chopping the meat, we also took the opportunity to test the sound insulation inside the house. Sophia's big knife was making such a loud noise that it almost seemed to shake the roof apart, but I didn't hear a single sound outside the door. The money spent on this is really worth it. In the evening, the things that Sophia had bought online arrived: hair accessories, jewelry, skincare products, cosmetics, and pairs of little skirts and small shoes. Sophia, we still have to look beautiful even when we're staying at home. Me, you're already beautiful enough. Miss, although Sophia loves beauty, she's still sensible. Besides the little skirts, she also received 4 emergency generators, diesel, a water purifier, candles, a bunch of self-defense tools, tarot cards, medicine, recipe books, dumbbells, 3 drones, and a pile of books. Among the self-defense tools, there were actually 2 realistic-looking imitation pistols. Are these real or fake? I weighed them in my hand. In terms of weight and appearance, they really didn't look like imitation ones at all. These things shouldn't be available for sale online, right? What do you think? Sophia calmly took a sip of her hand-ground coffee. Sis has been around in the underworld for so many years. These things are just a piece of cake. Sophia winked. Seeing this, I silently gave Sophia a thumbs up and clung tightly to my big sister's leg. How lucky I am to be friends with you that night. Sophia and I finished unpacking the express deliveries. We installed 2 more cameras on the rooftop. Took inventory of all the supplies again, checked the equipment in each room, and after confirming that everything was okay, I carried my bedding and went to sleep in Sophia's room, cuddle with the rich lady, countdown to the zombie outbreak. The last one day, early in the morning, I was woken up by a call from the property management. There were 2 people who claimed to be my relatives and wanted to enter the community, but because their travel codes had a starred mark, the security guards didn't let them in, and they were making a big fuss at the gate. Oh, just call the police directly. I hung up the phone expressionlessly, but then the phone rang again, and it was a strange number. Bella, are you Bella? I'm your aunt. These damn security guards at the gate won't let us in. You quickly talk to them and let us in. Your uncle and I really have something important to talk to you about. Don't. The woman's voice was so noisy that it gave me a headache. What a joke, after being an orphan for over 20 years, someone is coming to claim me now. But at noon that day, I was still called by the police station to pick them up. Fortunately, the police station in this community was right at the entrance of the community. I didn't tell Sophia and went there directly. As soon as I entered, I saw a middle-aged man and woman with an unfriendly appearance, accompanied by a shy little boy of 7 or 8 years old, who were arguing non-stop with the police in the hall. Why did you arrest us? Just because we wanted to visit our own child. We haven't stolen or robbed anything, and we haven't committed any murder or arson. What are you doing? Is there any justice left? What's this travel code? So what if it has a starred mark? It's a problem with your software. Our nucleic acid test reports are fine. What on earth are you doing? My dear mother, goodness, is there any law left? The police are bullying people. With a wave of her hand, the woman directly started acting like a shrew, collapsing on the ground and wailing. The young police officer beside them, who was trying to mediate, patiently explained a lot to her, but the woman just wouldn't listen. I took a deep breath, indicated my purpose to the person registering at the door, and entered the mediation room. Bella, so you're Bella. The girl has grown up so much. Let your aunt take a look at you. When the woman saw me appear, she quickly put away her shrewish behavior. A glint of shrewdness flashed in her naked gaze. I stepped back calmly and dodged the woman's touch. I grew up in an orphanage. I don't have any parents, so where did this uncle and aunt come from? Oh my, Bella, look at what you're saying. Sigh, your parents had no choice back then. The whole family was extremely poor. There was even a famine in our remote countryside back then. Where did we have the money to raise another girl? As she spoke, the woman squeezed out 2 tears from the corners of her eyes and pretended to wipe them away. Actually, your uncle and I tried to persuade them. It's just one more mouth to feed. But your parents really had a hard time. They originally planned to give you to a wealthy family that couldn't have children so that you could live a good life. Who would have thought that this family would go back on their word and send you back in just 3 days? Your grandfather went to pick you up, but he lost you on the way. Your uncle, your parents, and I searched for you day and night for 3 days. We searched every corner of our small, poor place but couldn't find you. Our poor child. Oh, then I should thank you. Only a fool would believe that. Don't be so distant, Bella. Sigh, it's probably karma. Your parents had an accident on the tractor when they went to sell rice the year before last. They both died in the car crash, leaving only your little brother. Your grandfather also had a stroke and is paralyzed this year. It was only on his deathbed that your grandfather was willing to admit that he sent you to the orphanage. That's how your uncle and I found the orphanage and learned about you. Sigh, I should have donated less money to the orphanage every year. I took a look at the little boy who had been hiding behind the crowd. His skin was dark, his eyes were full of timidity, his black hair was messy, and he had a thin and long little braid. What a pity, he doesn't look like me at all. Ah, by the way, this is your birth certificate and your household registration certificate. I remember that. When you were just born, you had a birthmark on your butt that looked like a heart, right? In the end, after verifying their identities and waiting for the nucleic acid test results to come out, the police officer asked me to take them out of the police station. All right, tell me what you want from me. Well, Bella, actually, it's not a big deal. The thing is, we still owe a sum of money for burying your parents. Your uncle wants to start a small business in Fengqing recently. You're quite well off now, aren't you, seeing how well you're dressed and how much money you donated to the orphanage? Could you please lend your uncle some money first? Also, regarding your little brother's schooling, the teaching environment in the countryside is really poor. This child is already 8 years old and has just started the first grade. Your grandfather is old and paralyzed, and he can't take care of him anymore. Your uncle and I already have 3 children, and it's really difficult for us to take care of him too. How much do you need? Upon hearing this, the eyes of the 2 people across from me lit up. Quick, tell the child. The woman anxiously nudged the man who hadn't spoken yet. Teach 30,000. The man swallowed hard and blurted out the amount. I nodded and laughed out of anger. Sure, they're really asking for an exorbitant amount. The 2 of them were overjoyed and almost exclaimed in unison, really? Yeah, of course. I really want to thank you, uncle and aunt, for allowing me to recognize my ancestors and return to my clan after all these years, but I don't have that much cash on hand right now. I'll have to go to the bank to withdraw it tomorrow. Oh, okay, it doesn't matter. Then how much money do you have on you now? Transfer some to us first for now. The man put his hands in his pockets and looked at me warily, but the greed in his eyes was almost overflowing. To dispel their doubts, I finally transferred 5,000 yuan to their Apple Pay account. It's getting late today. I've booked a 5-star hotel for you. You can go there and rest for a while later. I'll transfer the money to you tomorrow. Oh, actually, there's no need to be so troublesome. Why book a hotel? We can just make do and sleep at your place. It's a waste of money. I sneered. How could that be, Aunt? It's not easy for you and Uncle to come here. Of course, you should stay in a nice place. Okay. What a sensible child. Are you serious, Bella? You really transferred money to them, you spendthrift. After I settled those people in a nearby hotel and turned back, I ran into Sophia, who was standing in front of a snack stall at the entrance of the community. Under her repeated questioning, I finally told her the truth. Yeah, let's just think of it as paying to avoid trouble. Those 2 troublemakers will definitely not stop causing trouble if we have a falling out with them now. I snatched the squid skewer from Sophia's hand and took a big bite, seeing how they made a scene at the police station and in the community today. If we don't give in and offer them some benefits first, they won't let it go easily. At this critical moment, it's better to avoid unnecessary trouble. After today, maybe I'll be a complete orphan again. Whether the zombies will break out or not, and whether they will survive or not, it's all up to fate. They didn't come earlier or later. They just had to come at this time. It's really disgusting. Sophia spat out a mouthful of saliva, looking furious. It's really ironic. I shook my head with a smile. Okay, let's not talk about them anymore. Let's see if there's anything else we need to buy. Our days of outdoor activities are coming to an end soon. Just as I mentioned it casually, Sophia went to a nearby popsicle wholesale store and bought 10 boxes of ice cream, planning to push them home when passing by the seafood market. She also bought a few small fish fry and shrimps on a whim when we reached the entrance of the community apartment building. Sophia suddenly stopped, put down the fish tank, turned around, and pulled out a little boy by his braid from behind the flower bed. Little brat, why have you been following us? Sophia glared fiercely at the little boy. You followed us all the way from South Street to the community. What? Do you want to follow us home? Seeing this, the boy's cheeks turned red, and the timidity in his eyes immediately turned into fear. Did they send you? I grabbed Sophia's hand and let go of his braid. The boy shook his head vigorously, shrank into the corner, and refused to say a word. More and more people were passing by nearby, and they were casting curious glances at us. Go back first. I tried to pull him up, but he was as stubborn as a mule and just refused to move. I was almost out of patience with him. Fine, I'll call them to pick you up. As soon as I said this, the boy was like a frightened deer, full of fear. He squeezed out a faint sound from his hoarse throat. No, what? No. Don't give them the money. The boy seemed to use all his strength to finally finish this sentence. After saying that, he got up and ran away as fast as he could. Sophia and I looked at each other in surprise. Sophia, is he your little brother? Me, I guess so. Sophia, he looks quite like you. Me, as expected. That night, I received a flood of messages from my aunt, Arya. Each message seemed like words of concern, but in reality, they were all full of probe and hypocrisy. She would send about 10 messages, and I would only reply with one. If it weren't to put their minds at ease and get them to go back to the hotel, I wouldn't have added her on Instagram at all. Finally, I casually asked about the little boy. His name was Lucas. Arya said that the boy was timid and went to bed as soon as he got back to the hotel after dinner. There really wasn't a single truth coming out of this family. A timid person wouldn't dare to follow 2 adult women alone in a strange place. He was Really something. I figured that he followed us with the tacit approval of his parents. That night, Sophia and I hardly slept at all. We talked for most of the night, whether it was on the internet or in our Instagram moments. Everything was as peaceful as ever. It was just that there were more hot searches and topics about the flu in the early hours of the morning. Sophia brought a pile of snacks to the bed and opened a bottle of wine, red wine with spicy strips. Won't we get poisoned? Sigh. But I didn't think much about it. On this last peaceful night, Sophia and I fell asleep drunk. When I woke up again, I was woken up by the heavy metal music that Sophia was playing. The feeling of a hangover combined with the rock music really made me want to die. "Oh, you're awake," I frowned, reached up my hand, and turned off Sophia's stereo. When I looked up, I saw her meditating on the balcony. "What time is it?" "It's already 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Has the zombie outbreak happened?" Sophia took a look downstairs from the bay window. "No, it hasn't. No." My heart skipped a beat. Was I dreaming? I turned on my phone and found that there really wasn't any information about a zombie outbreak, but my phone had been bombarded with calls from Arya and David, and the number of unread messages and missed call alerts had already reached 99 plus. "Bella, don't think you're so great just because you have a bit of money. We're your closest relatives now, not to mention borrowing some money from you. It's only right that you use your money to support us. I'm telling you, you can't avoid giving this money to your uncle today. You have to take it out. Also, this is the money that your parents' family owes our David. Do you hear me? Are you dead? Bella, you don't care about your little brother anymore, do you? Call back quickly. Fine. Bella, you have some guts. Your uncle and I will come to settle the score with you right away." Sure, they have no sense of right but are still so aggressive, counting debts that are barely related to me. I was so angry that I laughed. I blocked them both with one click. Suddenly, the melodious sound of an opera performance came from outside the building. I stepped on the windowsill and took a look. Then I remembered that there was a community event in the neighborhood today. They had set up a stage in the square for a show. Sophia and I were both puzzled and relieved that nothing had happened, but we didn't dare to go downstairs rashly. The bay window happened to face the square. The event had already started, and we could see a group of residents gathered around the stage. Most of them were elderly people with children, who had brought small stools and sat in a circle to watch the show. I lay on the bay window to bask in the sun, while Sophia kept sorting out the tarot cards. 5. This isn't right. This isn't right. What's going on? Mia said it was today. What's going on? Come on, stop worrying about it. It's okay to make a wrong prediction once in a while. Although we bought a lot of things, it's better to be prepared. It's good to be alive, isn't it? Whoa, no way. The word failure isn't in my dictionary. I can't let this go. All right then, I'll let it go. Life has been so good that I just want to lie down and slack off, and live in peace. Although all the hard work these past few days was in vain, it's better that there wasn't an outbreak than having one. However, reality didn't allow me to relax for long. In the crowd, Arya and David were dragging Lucas and sneaking into the community among the people. They were looking around. The two of them were beating and scolding Lucas, shoving him, and it seemed like they were forcing him to lead the way. TSK, just as I expected, seeing that the three of them were about to walk in the direction of our building, I gripped my phone tightly and was about to call the property management. Suddenly, a crazy stray dog rushed out from the artificial rockery in the downstairs greenery and ran straight into the crowd. The first person it pounced on was an old man who was walking with a cane to watch the show. In just 5 seconds, the crazy stray dog mauled the old man beyond recognition. The scene immediately turned into chaos. There were also people around who tried to stop the stray dog and capture it, but it would pounce on and bite anyone it could reach, no matter how others threw things at it. It refused to let go even though it was covered in blood. Just like that, after the stray dog continuously attacked 7 or 8 elderly people and children, the property management and security guards finally showed up. They caught the dog with electric batons in a net and killed it on the spot. The incident happened so suddenly that when I thought of Arya and the other two again, they were already out of sight. At the same time, the community group where people were watching the commotion also exploded. Sleepy, holy cow, whose stray dog is this? It's so brutal. Sleepy, video, Mia, oh my god. This is so cruel. Is it rabid, watery? I've never seen this dog before. Have you guys seen it in the artificial rockery before? Ruby, no. There are only a few dogs that people feed in the community. Why is this dog so fierce? It doesn't look normal. Its eyes are all white. Guard, I'm just asking, are those who were bitten still alive? About 10 minutes later, the sound of ambulances arrived one after another. I called Sophia over to watch together. This isn't right. At that moment, the people who were bitten were quickly carried onto stretchers. What's wrong? Sophia didn't answer me. Her gaze was still fixed on the injured people on the stretchers downstairs, and she started counting down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Damn it. As Sophia finished speaking, the injured people on the stretchers who had been bitten by the dog suddenly started twitching collectively. A group of nurses and doctors around them tried to press and control them, but the speed of The mutation was too fast. Almost instantly, those people twisted their bodies continuously and quickly pounced on the medical staff around them to bite them, just like the crazy stray dog earlier. The scene was so bloody that it was almost identical to the prank video we received before. Originally, there were still onlookers who were curious and watching the scene, but now they started to flee in all directions again. And the community was in complete chaos. On the other hand, news of people being infected and mutating all over the place also started popping up in my phone messages. It wasn't just our community. Attacks also occurred in hospitals, shopping malls, schools, companies, and other crowded places. The source of the infection and spread was unknown. It just so happened that in our community, it was a stray dog that started it. Some of the videos taken on the fly were like scenes from hell on earth. I hugged Sophia and looked at the mutations downstairs with lingering fear. On April 8, 2035, the zombie outbreak still happened. As expected, the little witch never makes mistakes, but in the early stages of the zombie outbreak, it seemed that everyone didn't realize the seriousness of the problem. That afternoon, there were still people in the community group organizing to drive away in groups. This group of people gathered at Building 5. They were some young men and women. The self-defense tools they brought included clothes-drying poles, bench legs, mops, and some even picked up a few broken branches from the greenery at the entrance of the building. When they went downstairs, the result was predictable. The zombie parade had a new batch of young main forces. Sophia and I observed these zombies from the bay window until it was dark. Their eyes were infected and all white. They seemed to be blind, but their hearing was extremely sharp. In the community, no one dared to go out anymore. The once lively and noisy world suddenly became completely quiet, except for the occasional low growls of the zombies downstairs and the sounds of them fighting over food. In the community group, the official notice told the surviving residents not to go out and to wait patiently for rescue, but the speed of this outbreak far exceeded the time we had expected. In just 3 days, the zombie virus broke out nationwide. The promised rescue also disappeared without a trace. Sophia and I went to the rooftop to check and reinforce several solar panels and planted the seeds we had prepared in advance. Is this pit dug so shallow? Will the plants really survive? Won't they get sunburned to death? Sophia looked at the pit suspiciously and dug it a little deeper with a small shovel. Okay, if it's any deeper, the plants will suffocate. 6. I stopped Sophia's fidgety movements and scattered the seeds into each pit one by one. The weather at this time of the year was neither too cold nor too hot, and there was plenty of rain. We planted the vegetables that Sophia and I usually ate. By the way, we also built a few climbing frames according to the tutorial and planted some green beans and cucumbers to try in the evening. I was helping Sophia study the cooking tutorial videos online, but at 6:15, the internet was cut off. As someone who usually relies on takeout and Sophia, who has a tendency to accidentally set the kitchen on fire from time to time, we almost lost our cool. Did that blogger say to put the soy sauce first or the salt first? Should it be enough to boil these bones for 20 minutes? I think it would taste better if we add some vinegar. In the end, with Sophia's efforts, we took out the self-heating hot pot again and also brought out the recipe books that we had originally hidden away. Sigh, after considering so many things, we still miss this. We should have installed a network booster in advance. On the 7th day of the zombie outbreak, the water and electricity in the community were cut off. Fortunately, it rained a lot in April, and the weather wasn't too hot. I carried 30 buckets of water from the balcony to the storage room. Not long after, I found that Sophia had taken apart my large bathtub. Sophia, what are you doing? What's wrong? Sophia looked up with a confused expression, then looked at the screwdriver in her hand and smiled sheepishly. Come on. The capacity of this large bathtub is just perfect for collecting water for flushing the toilet. It's been raining a lot recently, so we should store more water. My heart ached. The final destination of this bathtub that cost 5 figures turned out to be a water container for flushing the toilet. Whoa, forget it. Anyway, we can't afford to be so luxurious as to take a bath now. After the power and water were cut off, apart from having to flush the toilet manually, Sophia and I's lives weren't affected much. But the surviving residents in the community seemed to be greatly affected by these two things. That night, according to Sophia and I's observation, there were no less than 10 groups of residents who escaped from the apartment building. Among these people, a small number of them managed to drive away successfully, but more people's mental states collapsed, and they weren't so lucky. They ended up being eaten by the zombies in just one night. The density of zombies in the community was so high that it made one's hair stand on end. The doors of several buildings weren't closed properly because the people who escaped last night were in such a hurry. The entire building even became a feeding ground for the zombies. The cries of the people downstairs and the roars of the zombies could be heard nonstop. The light rain was still falling patter. The rain didn't seem to have any effect on the wandering zombies downstairs, and without realizing it, a scarlet river of blood had formed on the low-lying ground in the community. I put down the binoculars, closed the curtains, and Felt a little lost. If it weren't for Sophia's prediction, I would probably have gone downstairs to watch the show out of curiosity on the first day of the outbreak and died on the spot. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but look at Sophia in the kitchen, who was seriously struggling with the recipe. Well, I'll give her some face in the future, eat more, and not waste food. On the 10th day of the zombie outbreak, Sophia and I were huddled in the living room, watching Train to Busan for the third time. Suddenly, a woman's scream came from outside the door. Coincidentally, the scene in the movie also showed the female train conductor being pounced on. I thought I was hearing things. Did you hear that? You heard it too. We tacitly moved closer to the door and peeked through the peephole. There was no one at the door. Besides the woman's voice, there was also the cry of a child, which came from the direction of the staircase. Oh no, I forgot to close the door of the staircase. I realized something was wrong and was about to open the door to close it, but Sophia stopped me. Wait a moment. Sophia made a gesture. Outside the door, the woman's cries were getting closer and closer, but it seemed that just as she was about to reach our floor, the sound suddenly stopped. I pressed my eye against the peephole and looked again and again, but it was so quiet outside that it was as if nothing had happened. Suddenly, an arm covered in blood reached through the door of the fire escape and onto the white tiles of the corridor. The next second, the blood-covered back of the woman appeared in my field of vision. She was still holding a girl with a ballerina bun in her arms, but the woman seemed too weak. She didn't hold on for long and fell to the ground. At this moment, I finally saw the woman's scarred face clearly, as well as the red mole between her eyebrows. Sophia, it's Sister Chloe. What? Sophia, who had just turned back, was shocked. Sister Chloe lived on the 25th floor of the same building as us. When I first moved in, I didn't know the routes in the community and got lost. I met Sister Chloe, who led me back. It happened that we lived in the same building, and she also helped Sophia and me move in later. When the pandemic kept breaking out repeatedly, Sister Chloe became a volunteer and helped distribute supplies. Sophia and I lived on the top floor, so we were the last to receive the supplies. And because the supplies were insufficient at that time, it was Sister Chloe who gave us her share, so that we didn't starve to death at home. Gradually, we got to know Sister Chloe better. She was the only acquaintance we had in this community. When Sister Chloe went to Mount Wutai to play, she also brought us amulets. We also jokingly asked Sister Chloe why she was so good to us. Sister Chloe said that we were about the same age as her younger sister. After her younger sister got married and moved far away, when she saw us, she would think of her sister, and she wanted to help us if she could. Over time, we found that Sister Chloe was really a very kind person and was genuinely good to us. From time to time, Sophia and I would go to Sister Chloe's house for a meal. When Sophia and I were moving supplies these past few days, we also reminded Sister Chloe to stock up on some supplies, but she never replied to our messages. 7. After confirming that it was Sister Chloe, Sophia and I hurriedly opened the door. Upon closer inspection, we found that the white floral dress she was wearing was almost soaked with blood, and the blood was still flowing continuously. The child she was holding tightly in her arms was her 5-year-old daughter, Jojo. Sophia and I carried Sister Chloe into the house. When we went to carry Jojo in, the bloodstains in the corridor hadn't been wiped up yet. We heard the voices of a man and a woman coming from the staircase, so I had to lock the fire escape door first. As soon as the main door was closed, there was a loud bang as the fire door was hit. Next, a man's angry shout came. Chloe, do you think you can still survive? The monk can run away, but the temple can't. Get the hell out here right now. Don't force me to really make Jojo die with you, you bitch. Open the door. The fire door was kicked several times heavily. I have to say that the quality of the fire door is really good. It wasn't kicked open by the man even after being battered for almost half an hour, you bitch. You just wait for me. I'll give you 3 more days. Otherwise, I'll make sure you and your daughter die without a burial place. Damn it, the man roared menacingly outside the staircase, leaving a warning, and the curses were unbearable to hear. Sophia and I recognized this voice. It was Sister Chloe's husband, Gary's, but Sister Chloe was seriously injured and had been in a coma since she was brought home. We couldn't verify what exactly had happened. Jojo was also extremely frightened and fell asleep beside Sister Chloe. Sophia examined Sister Chloe's wounds. The knife wounds on her shoulders, thighs, and waist were almost deep enough to see the bone. Due to limited medical conditions, I disinfected Sister Chloe's wounds with iodine and alcohol, but the wounds were too deep. If they weren't sutured, the risk of excessive blood loss would be even greater. Sophia and I were busy for most of the night. Finally, we bandaged Sister Chloe's wounds well. The bleeding stopped, and we fed her some anti-inflammatory drugs and Sufixime in the middle of the night. Jojo woke up once, and Sophia made her some milk powder to drink. At that moment, the little girl's snowy white and chubby face was covered with tears. This little girl had more or less grown up under our watch, and Sophia and I felt very sorry for her. Jojo, be a good girl. Tell Sister Sophia what exactly happened to Mom. Sophia held Jojo on her lap and took away the cup she had finished drinking from. Daddy, Daddy is with that auntie now. He doesn't want mommy anymore, I heard the auntie say. That she told Daddy he must kill mommy, or she won't give him the white powder to eat. From Jojo's sobbing in her babyish voice, we roughly understood the situation. After coaxed Jojo to sleep, Sophia and I went to the living room to discuss and decided to let them stay. That son of a bitch, I'm going to kill him. Calm down, Sophia. I struggled to hold back Sophia's flailing short legs. Let's figure it out when Sister Chloe wakes up. Regarding Sister Chloe and her husband Gary, we also knew some things from the gossipy aunts in the community. Gary had gone bankrupt in his business in Yunqing before. After owing a huge amount of debt, he never recovered. The whole family was supported by Sister Chloe, but every time we visited Sister Chloe's house, Gary looked gentle and seemed like a considerate husband. We couldn't tell it all that night. Sophia and I took turns keeping watch and taking care of Sister Chloe. Her fever finally subsided, but there was still no sign of her waking up. To prevent the wounds from getting worse, we changed her medicine again. On the third day, Sister Chloe finally woke up, but before we could ask Sister Chloe anything, there was another sound of the door being smashed outside. Through the peephole, I saw Gary take a hammer and directly smash the lock of the fire door. He rushed in and started hammering on our door. Chloe, I know you're in their house. Get the hell out here right now. I'm telling you. If you don't hand over the key to the safe today, none of you are going to live. As he spoke, there was another heavy thump on the door. Sophia was really furious. Before I could stop her, I saw Sophia pick up an axe that was originally for self-defense, open the door, and rush out. Before anyone could react, she kicked over the man who was 2 heads taller than her in front of her. Well, I forgot. This lady is a 10th den in the underworld. She's more than capable of dealing with this kind of living person. Who the hell are you? Who the hell are you? Watch your mouth and speak decently. You're so old. Have some dignity. All you can do is chase after women and beat them up. Damn it. Who are you showing off your bravery to? As Sophia cursed, she kept hitting. The 1.8-meter tall Gary on the ground was beaten so badly by her that he had no power to fight back. The level of violence in the scene was truly S+ grade. Well, I've always said, don't mess with women. I covered Jojo's eyes. Honey, don't look at this dirty stuff. In an instant, Gary was beaten to a pulp by Sophia. Finally, under the intimidation of the big axe she was waving in her hand, he surrendered and begged for mercy. Get the hell out of here now. I'll beat you up every time I see you in the future. Get lost. Sophia roared and swung the axe at the place where Gary had fallen. The man looked terrified, but his legs and feet didn't move at all. Spare my life. I just want the key that Lu Xiao, Chloe took away. I was just talking big. Hee. Just want the key. Just talking big. Is that why you hacked her into that state? I've been disgusted by you, you hypocritical beast, for a long time. If it weren't for you being Sister Chloe's husband, I would have used my magic to send you to see the Buddha in the Western Paradise long ago. Bah, an idiot like you doesn't even deserve to go to the Western Paradise. Go back to your 18th level of hell. After scolding, Sophia kicked Gary out of the staircase, and he rolled down directly. I also followed out and then found a young woman in a pink tight-fitting dress standing in the staircase, glaring at us fiercely. What are you staring at? You're Fiona, right? If you keep staring, I'll dig out your eyeballs. What a piece of trash. Your sister has transferred so much money to you every year, you ungrateful wretch. Take this jerk and get out of here right away. Don't step into the 32nd floor again, otherwise, you'll be sent downstairs to feed the zombies directly. After saying that, Sophia slammed the fire escape door shut, making a loud bang. It was obvious that Sophia was really angry this time. Well, I can understand. To Sophia and me, Sister Chloe is really special. I took the axe from Sophia's hand, patted her trembling body, and sent her back to the room. Then I turned around, took out the toolbox, and repaired the damaged lock and handle of the fire door. After Sophia and I calmed down, we went to the bedroom to see Sister Chloe. Why does he want to open the safe so badly? Is there money in it? I remembered the safe that Gary had mentioned earlier and asked. Sister Chloe shook her head. There's no money in the safe. It contains his life. What's inside it's drugs. Sister Chloe smiled bitterly. I should have seen the reality clearly earlier. Ever since he got addicted to those things 5 years ago, he's been crazy and not a normal person anymore. From what Sister Chloe told us, we learned that Gary went bankrupt 5 years ago because he became addicted to drugs in Yunqing, and he was completely ruined. Over the years, she had thought about sending him to a drug rehabilitation center, but Gary's male chauvinism never allowed it. He even threatened her with Jojo, saying that she couldn't call the police later. Sister Chloe's younger sister, Fiona, came to Fengqing to study because of vanity and comparison. Fiona had asked Sister Chloe for money countless times but was still not satisfied. She even went to work in a clubhouse as a prostitute and finally got involved with Gary. She endured it again and again, but what she got in return was Gary's increasing greed. He not only got Fiona addicted to drugs, but also demanded to sell the house. Even when his drug addiction flared up, he mixed white powder into Jojo's milk powder can. After she found out, she flushed all the drugs in the house, including those Gary had hidden, down the toilet. The ones that couldn't be destroyed in time were locked in the safe together with the house deed. Without the password and the key, it was impossible to open the encrypted safe, but she wasn't able to take Jojo and leave in time, and Gary flew into a rage when he found out. Sister Chloe was imprisoned by him for half a month and forced to tell the password. It was only recently that the zombie outbreak occurred, and the two of them were completely overwhelmed by their drug addiction. She first told the password and then took the opportunity to give them the key, and managed to escape with Jojo. The wounds on her body were inflicted by Gary and Fiona when they went crazy and hacked at her. After hearing about Sister Chloe's experiences over the years, I was shocked and felt sorry for her. It turned out that a mother could go to such lengths for her child, seeing that the gloom between Sister Chloe's eyebrows still hadn't dissipated. I told her what Sophia had done just now and assured her that she and Jojo could stay here with peace of mind and not have to worry about that despicable couple anymore. On the 30th day of the zombie outbreak, perhaps good people are rewarded, the wounds on Sister Chloe's body began to heal. They didn't get worse, and she was able to get out of bed. Most of the vegetables planted on the rooftop had sprouted, and the Chinese cabbage was especially lush, and Sophia and I finally had a hot and delicious proper meal. I have to say, the food cooked by Sister Chloe is really delicious. Braised pork in brown sauce, sweet and sour fish, spicy boiled sliced pork, corn and spare rib soup, stir-fried green vegetables with mushrooms. We were almost overwhelmed with choices. Everything was amazing. Eat slowly, eat slowly. There's still more in the pot. Sister Chloe smiled and served food into Sophia's and my bowls. Sophia and I also gave her a lot of face and ate 3 big bowls of rice on the spot, but we were worried that Sister Chloe would be tired and might hurt her wounds. So we didn't let her cook every day. Every time the vegetables and small shrimps grew up, Sister Chloe would cook a meal for us in the kitchen. Just like this, we were already very satisfied. In the second month of the zombie outbreak, it was summer, and the weather started to get hotter. Every time we went to the rooftop, the smell of decay in the air was almost enough to knock us out. I transplanted some vegetables into flower pots and brought them indoors. I decided to let the remaining ones grow wild on the balcony for a while. The zombies wandering in the community seemed to become more active after the arrival of summer. Some of them even deliberately climbed up the water pipes towards the floors, but they climbed with difficulty and would often fall. Although we had a generator at home, we didn't dare to turn on the air conditioner at all. We were afraid that the sound of the air conditioner's outdoor unit would attract all the zombies. On the hottest days, we hid in the ice room inside the storage room. We cooled off there and ate hot pot at the same time. It was a double flavor hot pot, this ultimate experience of the extreme contrast between ice and fire was simply the most enjoyable time during this apocalypse. But the peaceful days didn't last long, and an accident still happened. Jojo secretly ate a mango from the refrigerator and had a full-body allergic reaction, and there was no relevant emergency medicine in the first aid kit we had prepared. Seeing that Jojo's allergic condition was getting more and more serious, we had no choice but to go back to Sister Chloe's house to get the medicine prepared for Jojo. But we didn't know whether those 2 bastards at home were dead or alive. 9. Sister Chloe's injuries hadn't fully healed yet. Originally, Sophia and I were going to go back to get the medicine, but she was worried that we wouldn't be able to find where the medicine was placed and insisted on going with us. After Jojo to sleep, we checked all the doors and windows in the house, put on the double-layer protective clothing and gas masks we had prepared before, and took our handy baseball bats and went downstairs through the fire escape. When we reached the 28th floor, we found that the door of Sister Chloe's neighbor's house was wide open. We suspected that it had been damaged by Gary and the others. After Sister Chloe unlocked the electronic door lock, as soon as we opened the door, in the dimly lit room, a large number of flies were buzzing. A stinking smell of decay filled the hot air and almost broke through the gas masks, making us want to vomit. We entered the room carefully, following the place where the flies were hovering and gathering. We found a rotting male corpse beside the sofa. The body was covered with white maggots, and some were still wriggling. The eaten face couldn't be recognized anymore. We could only vaguely tell from the body shape, height, and the edges of the clothes that it was Gary. Gary was dead. Damn it, he's still disgusting even when he's dead. Ugh. Sophia couldn't hold it and first and cursed. I covered my dizzy head, and my stomach, which was regurgitating acid, also started to feel uncomfortable. On the contrary, Sister Chloe was surprisingly calm. She pulled out the tablecloth from the dining table, covered Gary's face and half of his body, and then directly pulled out the first aid kit from under the coffee table. I'll go get some clothes for Jojo. Sister Chloe handed the first aid kit to Sophia and walked straight towards the master bedroom. As soon as she opened the door, a woman covered in filth and with messy long hair pounced Out of the room. Who are you? Get out now. Seeing this, I quickly ran forward and pulled away the skinny and dirty woman in front of me. Fiona, Sister Chloe hesitated for a moment. Sister, is that you, sister? The crazy woman was startled when she heard the voice. It seemed that she recognized those familiar eyes under the gas mask and directly knelt in front of Sister Chloe and started wailing. I was wrong, sister. I shouldn't have treated you like that. I know I was wrong, sister. It was all my brother-in-law who forced me before. I didn't do it on purpose, sister. I just wanted some money, sister. Please save me. Please save me. Take me with you. Okay, there are zombies. The zombies are going to eat me. You're my only blood sister. You can't just watch me die. Please, sister. As she spoke, Fiona started kowtowing towards Sister Chloe, and her forehead made a bang-bang sound when it hit the tiles. I looked at Sister Chloe worriedly, but the look of pity in Sister Chloe's eyes only flashed for a moment. She quickly pushed away Fiona's pulling hand resolutely and was about to leave without saying a word. Fiona was unwilling to give up and wanted to chase after her, but she tripped over the threshold and fell. Sister, are you really that heartless? You're willing to watch me starve to death, watch me be bitten to death by the zombies, watch me die in pain. I'm your own sister, sister. I really know I was wrong, heartless, my own sister, when you slept with my husband, when you almost pushed Jojo off the building, and when you stabbed me with a dagger. How could you be so heartless? My real sister died a long time ago. As for who you are and whether you live or die, it has nothing to do with me at all. Sister Chloe's voice full of hatred completely shattered all of Fiona's illusions, but when I looked at her, her red eyes were filled with tears. You really want to be this heartless, don't you? Fine, then none of you are going to live. Let's all die together. Fiona on the ground was like a crazy demon. Suddenly, she roared, stood up abruptly, opened the door of the toilet that was closed behind Sister Chloe, quickly pushed past us, and started running outside. Before we could react, a child zombie covered in blood suddenly crawled out of the toilet. With a low growl, it was about to pounce on Sister Chloe, who was the closest. I pulled Sister Chloe and was about to run, but the little zombie was really agile. With a pounce, it hugged Sister Chloe's thigh and was about to bite. Fortunately, Sophia reacted quickly and stuffed the baseball bat behind Sister Chloe's leg. The little zombie snapped at it with its baby teeth but bit nothing. Bella, hurry up. And I also managed to overcome my psychological struggle and severely hit the little zombie 3 times with the bat. The last blow finally smashed its head, and it finally let go of Sister Chloe's leg. We were about to run with the first aid kit, but as soon as we got to the door, we found that Fiona was being pinned down and savagely bitten by an adult male zombie at the door of the neighbor's house. Damn it, where the hell did these zombies come from? Sophia cursed. Before the male zombie pounced on us, we turned back to the fire escape and were about to run back, only to find that 6 or 7 zombies were climbing on the stairs between the 28th and 27th floors. I was so scared that I screamed, and it was only then that I realized that someone had opened the small door of the apartment building. Except for the 32nd floor, the fire escapes of this building were all open at that moment. Several zombies had already smelled us and started climbing up frantically. Sophia and I pulled Sister Chloe, whose wounds hadn't fully healed, and ran desperately upstairs. When we finally reached the 32nd floor, a large male zombie was incredibly fast. It was roaring and chasing after us, and it seemed to be catching up. And under the high-pressure intimidation of this zombie, I lost my footing and disappointingly stumbled. I even accidentally kicked the zombie in the face at this moment. My heart really ached. How could I be so stupid? 10. Just as I closed my eyes and prepared to face death, a huge gunshot rang in my ears. Bang. When I opened my eyes again, the zombie that had been chasing us was shot in the head by Sophia and fell down the steps. Sophia, you're my hero. Let's go. Sophia stuffed the pistol back into her pocket, grabbed me who was stunned, and we returned to the platform. The gunshot attracted the attention of the zombies searching other floors. The roars of the zombies echoed throughout the building. We quickly locked the fire door. When we were turning back home, we found a woman lying at the door. Help me. The woman weakly pleaded for help at the door, and her thigh was still bleeding. I had observed the zombies for 2 months and was sure that the wound was definitely from a zombie bite. We couldn't save her. At the same time, behind the fire door, the sound of zombies banging on the door and roaring had already started. We couldn't delay any longer. I looked at the woman on the ground whose face was getting paler and frowned, and Sophia beside me opened the ventilation window 1 step ahead. Sorry, we can't save you. After saying that, Sophia dragged the woman towards the ventilation window. Give me a hand. I immediately helped Sophia lift the woman to the window. Just as we were about to throw her out, the woman seemed to use her last bit of Strength to struggle. Help, help me. No, no. The woman's body was trembling, and her head also started to twist out of control, rolling her eyes. Hurry up. Sophia roared and threw half of the woman's body out of the window. I dragged the woman's legs and was about to push her down the window, but the mutated woman suddenly clung to the window desperately. Her eyes were filled with red and white blood vessels, and she refused to let go. Emitting a violent roar, the group of zombies outside the fire escape seemed to sense the sound and strike the door even more excitedly. Sister Chloe was desperately holding the fire door on the other side, but the door panel was still in a precarious state. Sophia promptly smashed the woman's hand with the baseball bat. She seemed to still have some sense of pain left and flinched. I was then able to use my strength to push her out of the window and turned back to open the main door. Sister Chloe, hurry up! Finally, we successfully retreated and locked the two large iron doors that isolated the entrance. Just 30 seconds after closing the door inside the house, the zombies in the staircase knocked down the fire door and swarmed up to the two iron doors, roaring, scratching, and clawing. The sound was very harsh. Fortunately, the protective effect of the two modified doors was good enough, no matter how much the group of zombies beat and rammed against them. There were just some scratches on the iron doors and the inner door, and there was no sign of loosening at all. After taking off my protective clothing and mask, I ran to the bathroom and vomited into the toilet for a full hour. In the end, I even vomited out the bitter bile. Although we survived this ordeal, I still had a lingering fear, nausea, and fear intertwined. This time, I really faced life and death directly, and Sophia was much calmer compared to my reaction. She just smoked alone at the ventilation opening on the rooftop, smoking continuously when I went to find her. She extinguished the cigarette, but of the last cigarette in the whole pack. Bella, do you think it's worth it for us to help like this? Hearing this, I hesitated for a moment and didn't answer Sophia. I sat beside her in silence. After a long time, she suddenly smiled. It's boring. After saying that, Sophia got up and was about to leave. Little witch Sophia, I remember you told me that everything we do has its cause and effect. At the moment we chose to save them, we picked up that cause, but it's precisely because she was so kind to us in the past. The cause we picked up is also the fruit she planted. What's the point of talking about whether it's worth it or not? We did it voluntarily, didn't we? I grabbed Sophia's hand, got up, touched her head, and hugged her, and we're still alive and well. We weren't really bitten, so it's okay. In fact, on the night we decided to set out, I saw Sophia making divination cards in the study. Maybe she had already predicted all these things that would happen today. Otherwise, that gun wouldn't have shot at that zombie so timely. Sophia must have also gone through a great psychological struggle, but in the end, we still set out. Over the years, Sophia has protected me very well. Although she's younger than me, she's more like an older sister. She's kind, generous, brave, decisive, and has a clear distinction between love and hate. Over these long years, we've only had each other's company and have come this far. Everything is fine. It's our own choice to decide who to help. Selfishly speaking, even if we turn into zombies, if there's someone to keep us company, we won't be too lonely. Okay, Bella, you're hugging me so tightly that I can't breathe. After a long time, the little person half a head shorter in my arms let out a muffled cry. I smiled and let go of her, kicked away the cigarette box, and took her hand to go downstairs. And after Jojo took the special medicine we brought back in time, the red rashes on her body finally faded, and her condition started to improve. After one night, the little one was already able to eat, but because of this trip, many of Sister Chloe's wounds opened up again. I helped her remove the bandages and found that Sister Chloe was crying. Thank you, Bella. Actually, you didn't have to do all this for us. I almost got you into trouble and caused you so much trouble. What are you talking about, Sister Chloe? Sophia and I aren't ungrateful people. You helped us so much before and cooked so many delicious dishes for us. We're not just freeloaders. As long as we're all safe and sound in the future, we will definitely be able to hold on until the country's rescue arrives. As for now, you and Jojo should quickly recover from your illness and injuries. Sophia and I will be very grateful. We're still waiting to eat your signature cola chicken wings. I sincerely expressed what was in my heart to Sister Chloe. When I saw her turn her tears into a smile, I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. After this experience, it seems that I've become a master at comforting people. What a peerless, purifying white lotus. Don't listen to rumors. Don't believe rumors. 11. The zombies outside the doors surrounded us for almost half a month. During this time, to prevent any unexpected problems, Sophia and I directly moved to the living room to sleep. We took turns keeping watch at night and observing the zombies at the door. Except for a little shaking of the big iron door, we weren't greatly affected. The clever zombies, seeing that they couldn't break the door open no matter what, left this floor one after another. On the 20th day, there was only a female zombie missing 2 arms and an old zombie at the door. I don't know why, but I feel like this old zombie looks kind of familiar, Sophia murmured as she lay in front of the peephole. Among all the zombies in this community, which one don't we find familiar? I leaned on the sofa, put one leg on the coffee table, and joked while adjusting the cached movie channel. No, I really think this old guy looks extremely familiar. Sophia waved her hand. I remember now. Isn't this the old man who deliberately lowered the price when we went to sell bottles? He's the scrap collector in the underground garage. Yeah, it really is him. He always wore a military coat, had a strange temper, was stingy, and liked to lower the price. I remember that back then. Sophia and I had saved up bottles for half a year, and there were 50 pounds of them. This old man only gave us 50 cents for them. Damn it. Sophia and I were shocked when we heard that price, but at that time, we really couldn't fit any more bottles at home, and there was no other recycling station nearby, so we sold them to this old man as trash. Afterward, we found out that even at the lowest price, a pound of bottles should be worth at least 20 or 30 cents. Sophia and I were really out of our minds to have been cheated by this old man, but later, when Sophia's studio opened and she got busy, we didn't bother to argue with this old man anymore. Unexpectedly, we would meet him again in this way. Before I could recall too much, the female zombie with a dull expression, half of her face rotten, and no arms beside the old man suddenly started hitting the door with her face. The bloody holes were a bit terrifying, but I always felt that she also looked kind of familiar. As if I had seen her somewhere before. Oh, I remembered. What? That woman is your aunt. Ha 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 ha. It really is true that the wicked are punished, but your aunt has been bitten. What about your dear little brother? What are you talking about? Besides you, I don't have any relatives. What dear little brother? I closed the peephole with a laugh, but my mind couldn't help but think of that little boy with a pigtail, a dark little face. After the beginning of autumn, the weather finally cooled down, Sister Chloe's knife wounds finally healed, and Sophia and I also started living a happy life of having 4 dishes and 1 soup every day, just waiting for the end of the world. The batch of vegetables that grew wild on the rooftop were also very productive. There was a large expanse of green. I tipped Jojo to harvest batch after batch of vegetables. The tomatoes and cucumbers grew particularly well, and we even dug out sweet potatoes and peanuts. Little Jojo especially liked tomatoes. Every time a new one sprouted, she would drag me to the rooftop and stare at them every day, waiting for them to grow up. Sophia also started learning how to cook from Sister Chloe, and her cooking skills improved by leaps and bounds. Her braised chicken drumsticks were so delicious that I was amazed. Did you make this? You can cook this well. Don't look down on me. As she spoke, Sophia was about to take the plate away from in front of me. I smiled and begged for mercy, and managed to save this plate of chicken drumsticks. I also ate 3 more bowls of rice. During the mid-autumn festival, we also learned how to make mooncakes from Sister Chloe. We had everything we needed, including an oven, molds, flour, and fillings. Sister Chloe was extremely skillful with her hands and explained the cooking method very patiently. It was rare that Sophia and I, 2 clumsy people, were able to make the mooncakes look decent, although the taste, was still better when Sister Chloe made them. After dinner, we turned off all the lights in the house, opened the curtains, and sat together eating mooncakes and admiring the moon. The moon on the 15th day of the 8th lunar month was round and big. The stars that had always been hidden above the city were especially numerous tonight. Sophia also made a small torch out of a battery-operated lamp for Jojo. She held it in her hand and waved it around, which really gave off the feeling of playing with torches when we were kids. If it weren't for the zombies that popped up from time to time downstairs, really, everything would be perfect. When winter came, little Jojo grew taller very quickly. Among the brand-name clothes that Sophia had bought before, there were some children's parent-child outfits that came as gifts. We took them out early for Jojo to wear. She also rummaged through the cloakroom and found many little dresses to modify for Jojo, and that extremely expensive gold metal sewing machine of the little witch. Ever since she bought it, I had never seen her use it. I never expected that there would be a day when I would see her start using it. TSK, I was even a bit jealous. However, Sophia was really serious when she was modifying the clothes. The workmanship of Lolita little dresses is originally cumbersome, and some need to be cut by hand. Every stitch and every thread is very particular. I stood beside her and stared until my eyes were almost going blind, but Sophia still didn't take a break. She only stopped when she had finished modifying the whole set. I was thinking that if Sophia didn't become a witch, she should also be an excellent little tailor. When we were in the orphanage as children, we had very few clothes. Most of them were donated by social people, and many of them had some flaws. There was no mention of having new clothes, but Sophia would always borrow a needle and thread kit from the headmistress and modify the clothes for me and her to make them look nice. This might also be a kind of talent. The other children would also be jealous, but Sophia wouldn't help them modify their clothes. Once, they even retaliated by cutting up Sophia's most precious little dress. I knew who did it and directly beat up that little boy. I was locked up in solitary confinement for 3 days by the headmistress, and Sophia even scolded me through the door panel. At that time, I didn't understand and was very chagrined, but later, when I thought of Sophia's sad expression when she came to help me clean my wound, maybe it wasn't just because the little dress was cut up. 12 on Christmas Eve, the first snow fell in Fengcheng. The movement of the zombies downstairs seemed to be affected by the cold and harsh weather and became very slow. Some zombies that couldn't hunt humans even started biting each other. In the end, the incomplete bodies were directly frozen in the heavy snow. In the small pond beside our building, there were many zombie corpses frozen in the water. Perhaps this extreme weather was also a turning point. Christmas was Jojo's birthday. Sophia asked her if she had any birthday wishes. Jojo said that she wanted a Christmas tree that could make wishes come true. That night, I carried the Christmas tree out of the storage room. The artificial leaves on the tree were covered with dust, and there were even many unopened gift boxes. I used a feather duster to dust it off and remembered that Sophia and I had a Cold War because of this Christmas tree last Christmas. Well, how should I put it, at that time I stayed up late fighting for a customized little dress and overslept. I forgot to pick up the reserved Christmas tree. When Sophia rushed back from a business trip, it was already the early hours of the next morning. Sophia usually pays a lot of attention to the sense of ritual, although she didn't say anything. The disappointment in her eyes at that time almost broke my heart. Sighed. Girls are really hard to please. I didn't dare to sleep that night. As soon as it was dawn, I went to the store where I bought the tree and knocked on the door to carry the tree back later. Sophia didn't say anything either, but she didn't open any of the gifts on the tree. She just left it in the living room until the spring festival, and then moved it to a small room where it gathered dust unexpectedly. It could still be put to good use and happened to be used for Jojo's birthday. Sophia took some colorful lights and hung them on the tree. She casually asked, "Is this the tree from last year?" "Exactly. Pfft, you didn't even throw this away. This tree was really expensive. How could I just throw it away?" I sighed, took the big gift box at the top of the tree, and handed it to Sophia. "Here you go." "Oh, there's one for me." Sophia pretended to be surprised as she took the gift. With an overly exaggerated expression, I clenched my fists and gave her a glare. "Don't be a hypocrite after getting a good deal. It was originally yours anyway." Early the next morning, the little girl was both surprised and delighted when she saw the Christmas tree. She held the gift box and ran around the room shouting that Santa Claus had shown his magic, which made Sophia and me burst into laughter. Sister Chloe also made an extremely cute little Red Riding Hood cake, which made the three of us very greedy. When it was time to blow out the candles and make a wish during dinner, Jojo closed her eyes very seriously. I even joked and asked her what wish she had made. The little one seriously refused to answer and said in her babyish voice that if she told the wish, it wouldn't come true. As a result, she was bought off by 2 lollipops from Sophia in no time. Jojo's wish was, "Well, it won't come true if I say it, so I won't tell." This winter was really much colder than previous years, but it seemed that because there were 2 more people living with us, the house was livelier and more full of human warmth, so it didn't feel as cold. When we remembered to go to the rooftop to check, the ground was already covered with a thick layer of snow. When we stepped on it, the snow reached up to our calves, and a lot of the water that was originally stored on the rooftop had already frozen. Worried that the water buckets would crack from the cold, we cleared out the living room and the remaining empty rooms and carried about half of the water into the rooms. As for the vegetables that had been growing wild on the rooftop, they were also terribly frozen, except for a few cold-resistant Chinese cabbages and white radishes. Almost all of them were destroyed. Originally, Sophia and Sister Chloe had built a simple thermal insulation shed for them using plastic, but it was completely torn apart by the wind and snow overnight. Helplessly, we dug a few large flower pots, got some soil, and brought it indoors to try a new method of cultivation. The vegetables and fruits that we had stocked up on and bought last year in the fresh produce room were not fresh anymore, but they were still edible. However, to my surprise, an orange potted plant that I had casually bought had actually borne fruit, and it was getting bigger and bigger. Before I could transplant it, Sophia led Jojo and they ate half of the tree's fruits in half a day. It's okay. Anyway, it will grow more fruit again. I'll endure it. After several heavy snowfalls, there were a lot fewer zombies wandering in the community. On New Year's Day, Sophia was already able to cook a whole table of dishes independently. For this reason, this lady also asked me to record a 60-minute video for her in order to commemorate her difficult cooking growth history over the past 6 months. Let me just say, it won't take half a year. With my talent, I will definitely become a top class. Whoosh, bang. Before Sophia could finish speaking, a huge explosion sound of fireworks burst outside the window, and the falling light was dazzling and terrifying. Didn't we ban these things in the urban area of our city a long time ago? Sophia hadn't reacted yet, and I ran to the window and saw that the fireworks were set off right downstairs of our building, and there were even 2 boxes of them. The originally quiet community suddenly became restless. The sound and light of the fireworks seemed to arouse the roars of zombies responding from all directions. Soon, the zombies that had survived the severe winter slowly emerged from each apartment building and started moving towards the location of the fireworks. I crouched by the window with a pair of binoculars. I didn't expect there to be so many zombies that had survived and hidden. In no time, they densely surrounded the area around the fireworks, but compared to the initial outbreak, there were still relatively fewer of them at this time. It was suitable for escaping and also for transferring the stronghold. Just as I was wondering who was so clever, 4 or 5 people wrapped up very tightly suddenly appeared in building 6 opposite us. They were alive. 13. I didn't expect there to be living people in the community. The fireworks attracted the attention of the zombies and also masked the sound of the car engine. These people must have prepared for a long time. The process of their escape was smooth and orderly, without any mistakes, and that group of zombies that couldn't find their target kept roaring mindlessly by the fireworks. Some of them even hugged each other and bit each other when the people driving the car passed by the group of zombies. They even threw a string of lit firecrackers at high speed and shouted out of the window at the zombies, "Happy New Year!" It was very provocative. I smiled. What a group of interesting and lovely young people. I wish you all safety. Just as I was about to close the window, a short and small figure suddenly appeared beside the flower bed downstairs. He started running towards our building, but just 10 seconds after he disappeared from my sight, the little boy was chased out by a zombie that was a bit slow. At that time, the fireworks had gone out, and the sound of the firecrackers had also stopped. This group of zombies gathered at the door almost instantly noticed the presence of the boy and surrounded him from all directions, blocking his way back. I put down the curtain and stood up. "What's wrong?" Sophia also put down the DVD and leaned over to ask. There are still living people downstairs. A more lively zombie had already pounced towards the position of the boy, but the next second, the boy turned around, touched the drainage pipe on the wall, and started climbing up without hesitation. Although the zombies downstairs moved slowly, they seemed to still have the memory of what happened in summer. One after another, they followed the boy and climbed up under his feet, but they were too slow. Some of them couldn't bear the weight and slid down directly. The boy climbed 15 floors in one go and finally sat on the protruding anti-theft window outside a house on the 15th floor and didn't move forward anymore. This kid is quite amazing. But although it's safe for him to hide there now, it's so cold outside. He has no food, and his clothes aren't thick either. He can't get in. How long can he hold on? Sophia let out a slight sigh, stopped looking, and turned around to start tidying up the desk, and I stood there for a long time, clearly seeing that small figure and that familiar dark little face, which was now already red from the cold. The little pigtail behind his head was also gone. It seemed that he was afraid of falling, so he curled up tightly in the innermost part of the anti-theft window. As for the zombies below, they still didn't give up, but some of the more capable ones could only climb up to the 6th floor at most and finally fell down due to various resistances. The next day, Sophia let out a scream while standing on the bay window. "Damn it, this little boy has climbed up to the 25th floor. At this rate, if he keeps climbing, he'll reach our rooftop soon," Sophia said worriedly. Hearing this, I put on my coat and got out of bed. The boy on the anti-theft window was indeed closer to us, but compared to yesterday, the boy's condition seemed to be even worse. His face was already purple from the cold. That little brother is so pitiful. Jojo leaned on the window and pointed at the boy downstairs. Her big eyes blinked, showing a look of worry. Will those monsters eat the little brother? The marble on the bay window was a bit cold. I picked Jojo up from the window and sat her on my lap. "No, the little brother is very capable. Auntie, let's give the little brother some food." "Okay." That afternoon, the light snow started falling again. I found the longest rope in the house, twisted it together with a large bed sheet and a small basket. At Jojo's strong suggestion, I put 2 bottles of warmed milk, 2 corns, a bag of biscuits, 3 eggs, and an umbrella in the basket, and then lowered it beside the boy while holding the rope. When I saw the boy move his body, I couldn't help but grip the small knife in my hand tightly. If he dared to do anything, I would cut the rope immediately. However, he was quite obedient. After seeing him take the food from the basket, I immediately pulled the rope back up. The boy on the anti-theft window kept wolfing down the food without looking up even once. He really has a tough life to have survived for so long. I shook my head and put the rope back in the storage room. This kind of sending food back and forth lasted for about 3 days. The boy was very well behaved and didn't climb up any further. On the 4th day, a big blizzard hit Fengqing. As soon as Jojo got up, she ran to our room, shouting that she wanted to see how the brother on the window was doing. I have to say that the snow last night was really heavy. Everywhere my eyes could see was white, and a thick layer of ice had formed on the outer layer of the water pipes beside the building. There was a group of zombies downstairs stepping on the icy ground covered with snow. Slipping and falling back and forth, they would get up and take 2 steps before falling again. The ones behind bumped into the ones in front, one after another, like a row of dominoes, which was very funny. "The little brother is still there," Jojo exclaimed, pointing at the boy's position with her chubby finger. At this time, the boy was holding that black umbrella and was swaying precariously in the wind. You two have been looking at this for so long. Why don't we just bring him up?" Sophia yawned and glanced outside the bay window. "No way. I Refused, Bella, you've changed, you've become heartless. Auntie, Jojo also looked at me with anticipation on her face. Seeing this, I let out a helpless sigh. Baby, this is our home, not a rescue station. If you bring strangers home to live, your daily share of candies will be halved in the future. And what if they're bad people? 14. Jojo is willing to share the candies with the little brother. The little brother. The little brother, he doesn't seem to be a bad person, the girl nibbled on her finger and looked outside the window hesitantly. In the end, I still refused. There was no need to waste effort to save a child who had nothing to do with us and bring him home. But on this day, when we sent food down again, the boy didn't take it immediately. The big black umbrella blocked the boy's position, and we couldn't see how he was doing. Auntie, why isn't the little brother taking it? Jojo's hand hurts. Here. Give it to Auntie. I took the rope that the little girl was holding in her hand. Although the things in the basket weren't heavy, it was still a bit tiring for her to hold the rope for a long time at her age. I held the rope and lowered the basket for a long time, but the boy still didn't take the food in the basket. Thinking that he might have fallen asleep, I tied the rope on our side to the pillar at the head of the bed. We could just pull it back when he woke up and took the food. I left it like that for the whole afternoon. In the evening, after we had dinner, at Jojo's urging, I carried her to take a look at her little brother again. It gets dark early in winter. I turned off the lights in the room, opened the window a crack, and was about to shine a flashlight. I didn't know until I opened the window. A big black shadow of a man had already climbed up to the 31st floor along the rope we had previously lowered, and behind him, the boy who had been on the 25th floor was holding onto his foot tightly, not allowing him to move forward. Get out of the way, you beast. Let go. I've raised you for so long. Not for you to delay me, damn it, I'm almost there, let go of me right now. The man kicked the boy at his feet violently, and I turned on the electric light, clearly seeing the man's face. It was him, David. He actually wasn't dead either. I immediately put Jojo down, took out the knife, and approached the rope. I saw that the boy below was still holding onto David's pant leg tightly, despite being kicked in the face. He refused to let go. I was stunned for a moment. At this time, David below also noticed me and roared, what are you going to do, Bella? What the hell are you going to do? Put that knife away. Damn it. I don't believe you really dare to cut the rope. The one at my feet is your own brother. Do you really have the guts? Bella, do you hear me? Don't come any closer. Get lost. David grabbed the rope in fear. Finally, he kicked the boy at his feet away and climbed up desperately. I didn't cut the rope immediately. I stood on the bay window and watched him climb to the position closest to the 32nd floor. 5 meters, 3 meters, 1 meter. Come on, uncle. I stretched out my hand towards the man. Bella, what are you doing? Sophia, who rushed into the room when she heard the commotion, shouted behind me. Okay, Bella, you're a good girl. Save me. Give me a hand. Just before the man could finish speaking, I stabbed the dagger into the center of his forehead. Not much blood splattered out, but it was a fatal blow. I didn't expect I had such skills. I watched as David's eyes widened in shock and he fell straight down from the 32nd floor. Downstairs, a group of zombies that had been waiting for a long time at the sound instantly pounced on the man's body. Lucas, who had been kicked down to the 24th floor by David, was still trying his best to hold on to the end of the rope. This time, I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. I dropped the flashlight and started pulling the rope, but it seemed that the heavens were playing a trick on me. At midnight, Sophia set up the divination ritual platform. Damn it, when I pulled him up to the 24th floor, the knot where the rope and the bed sheet were twisted together became loose due to the intense struggle just now and the blowing of the wind. I tried my best to pull him up, but this little rascal seemed to be going against me on purpose. At the moment when the bed sheet tore, he waved at me with a cry, "Sister, goodbye." I watched as Lucas fell from the 24th floor to the platform on the 2nd floor, and then rolled from the snow surface onto the snow on the ground with a dull thud. 3 minutes later, he became one of the zombies. Little rascal, is this what you call goodbye? Auntie, the little brother is gone. Where did he go? Sister Sophia said he turned into a monster. No, the little brother just went home. We'll meet again. That shameless Sophia. She changed the seniority again. The snow in Fengcheng fell for a very long time. This year, it was still snowing when spring came. However, although the weather was cold, the number of zombies in the community was visibly decreasing. I actually quite like winter. We spent another half year safely living in seclusion and stockpiling goods. Jojo started learning to read characters, Sister Chloe became obsessed with practicing martial arts, and Sophia also became an excellent cook, in which, at the end of 2036, we finally received information from the National Rescue Team, the safe zone had been established, and the antidote for the zombie virus was also being developed. The people sent by the military to search and rescue were also very shocked that we women had survived on our own. They said that throughout Fengcheng, the number of living people they found was less than 100, and the number of women was even fewer. After some consideration, we didn't choose to leave and go to a safer protection area. But before leaving, the military cleared all the zombies in our community area and left a batch of rich and fresh supplies. This year, my small orange potted plant also grew into a large potted plant half a person's height, full of big oranges. Sophia still often takes Jojo to secretly eat the oranges. However, there are enough of them this year. The smell of decay in the air gradually started to disappear. The snow in Fengcheng started falling again. We all knew that it wouldn't be long before we could return to the old days.